Welcome to Warcraft Reloaded, a podcast brought to you by Mash Those Buttons, covering World of Warcraft Classic, TBC Classic, and its community. I am Bobby, also known as Blazed Bob, and today I'm joined by Ryan, aka The Yip Show. How you doing?
Hello, Bob. I'm doing great. Doing fantastic. How are you, Bob?
I'm doing
Does
wonderful.
anyone ever ask how you are?
You do sometimes, but you're the only one.
That's good. That's good. It's just for appearances. You don't have to
I was gonna
answer.
say
You
he
move
usually
on.
tells us regardless of if anybody asks. So
Oh, that makes more
Do
sense.
I? Really?
yes,
Huh.
you do.
Welcome to the podcast. I'm doing pretty good today.
And that other beautiful voice is Mel, aka Melorina. How you doing?
Hello, I'm good. Did you see his compliment there? He's trying to make up for not letting me go first. He's
Yeah.
like, if I call her beautiful, it's okay if I introduce Yip first.
I actually put in a complaint. I said you have a choice. Either I go first or you call me beautiful when I get second. But I see he went with this option.
Yeah, the one with option 2.
And for the second time on the show, we have the host of F's in the Chat, streamer extraordinaire, Winky. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing wonderful. I'm doing wonderful.
Doing well. My goal today is not to interrupt Mel.
Well, we all
Good
do
luck.
it, so don't feel bad.
This is such nonsense narrative. I feel like I've been interrupted by Mel just as much as
Nope.
anyone's interrupted Mel.
Nope.
Bob edits it out of the audio podcast. I don't know.
And
I
it's
was
my
the least-
interrupting out and not yours.
When I joined this podcast, well, I guess when Mel joined this podcast, I was quickly the quietest one. I was like, I have to fight to talk. I have to like break my way in and interrupt these people. I just keep talking. I learned. They know what's up. You just keep talking until the other person
is
backs
true.
down. It's like a
It's-
dog dominance move. Just like, I'm not stopping.
You just act like the other one's not talking.
Yeah.
And you just keep
Well,
talking.
honestly, that's the best way is for someone to just, like, the two people start talking, one person stops. I can cut that completely from the audio. But when someone says, sorry, Yip, or sorry, so-and-so, or, oh, just let me do this real quick, I got to leave that in at that point. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but at that point, it's like a game of chicken.
Yeah,
Yo,
you're
yeah.
The
It's like
stare down is
you
the
will
funny
keep
part.
talking to
You-
see
you
who
both
will
just
stop
look-
first.
You guys make eye contact with them, and you're like, this is way more.
And sometimes you guys go on for a bit, and I'm like, who said something better? I'll decide which one to use.
Oh no.
If it makes you feel any better.
Is the worst in the world. I'm telling you, it's horrible. And then you go back and you hear the things that people were saying and you were saying, and you're like, why were we talking about this for 15 minutes?
Oh yeah.
As you're editing it, oh, it's great.
Yeah.
Well-
For me, it's like I don't hear I feel like we'll miss something, and then you listen to the audio, and you're like, I didn't even hear them say that. Like I just ignored that entirely somehow.
Right? Like you hear like go on to a new topic, like you introduce a new topic, you're like, you're just not even gonna address what they just said? Nope. Didn't even hear it.
If it makes you feel any better, the one that gets cut the most is me. Because I say
makes
something stupid in the middle of your stuff, or like use some song lyric or movie reference, and I'm like, okay, I'm taking that out.
Yeah, you're acting humble right now. You're like, I cut myself the most, but really, it's like this egotistical, like you got to make yourself sound the best. You're
Right,
putting
that's
this
what I'm
effort
saying.
in.
Do you ever add your opinion in during posts?
Yo.
Just so
That
people
would be
can't contest it?
hilarious.
Yo,
And
you
then I
better
just-
not.
And I just have like sound clips of Yip going, yeah, it's a good call. Oh, that's a great
Oh,
point, Bob.
no. I don't listen to all the audio ones when they come out. Please do not start doing this.
I don't do
Right?
that. I don't do that. That would
I wouldn't
ruin
know.
my
It'd be
integrity.
like, wow, yep, that was a great point last week when you agreed with Bob.
What are you talking about? Oh, man. All right, well, at the top of the show, I like to remind everybody that we do stream live on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/matchthose-buttons, usually on Friday nights. Follow us on Twitter to know when we go live. That's WC Reloaded on Twitter. So for the show today, we're going to go through regular housekeeping. We got a lot of reviews, so we weren't able... 2 of these are from like last week, so like we're we are catching up, but we're not going to do more than like 3 a week. So we'll get to the ones that came in next week. We got an email. Still not going to get to the long email. We're going to do that next week. I think next week will be perfect for it. So stay tuned for that. Then we're going to do what we've been doing in WoW lately. It's probably going to be a lot of hardcore talk. And then we're going to get to the raid progress. We had a great raid night, last unnerfed raid. Then the classic team just likes to switch between projects. Like, tons of TBC news hit, and there's just a little bit of a season of mastery news. And then at the end, we're going to kind of get into strategies that the raid 1 for Road to Rag has been kind of thinking about or working on to like get geared up, get into Molten Core, and eventually get to Rag. So it should be a good show. Let's strap in, and yep, we had some reviews.
We did have some reviews.
No, we cannot let this go. The whole time Bob's talking, Yip's got this little cat video on his green screen behind him.
Thank God I didn't look, dude. Oh my God, that would have killed me.
In my head, you were struggling the whole time, like
Oh,
you're not sure how
man.
to handle what's going on.
I was reading it off the notes.
Someone posted it in Discord, a really cute cat gif, so I thought I'd put it back there for a moment while I read some of these reviews. So we did have some great reviews. So the first one, For the Alliance. I love
Woo!
the show and listen each week. I'm actually on Whitemane as well and raid with Risen. That's a much better guild than ours. Hopefully, our server doesn't die and people transfer in and save us. Good luck with your raids each week and keep up the good content. South Jehoda, Hunter Main. Our server's dying. In just the last 2 weeks, I've talked to 2 people whose guilds have just fallen apart or transferred. I have got no hope for Whitemane any longer, but we're not going anywhere, so we can Risen and Vargflocken can die together till the end on Whitemane together. And then,
Many
unless they open up
times.
free transfers. If free transfers open up, we can talk about
Banding together.
benediction together. Instead, though, I think we're stuck here. But thank you, and For the Alliance.
Thank you so much.
That was so weak.
Well, no, I mean, it's at the beginning. The For the
Mm.
Alliance at the end is For the Alliance, but at the beginning,
Oh,
seems like
you can't. Yeah.
everything else after just doesn't seem as important. The next review, love it. I love the show. I quit WoW after Cataclysm and returned for Classic WoW. I quit WoW Classic. I'm flipping them the words after a bit due to IRL issues, but I'm back due in part to this podcast. These folks bring game knowledge, experience, and topics of concern/interest to many players. They're entertaining and informative at the same time. Keep it up. Thank you, Keith. Thank you for your review. That is incredible.
You so
and the last
much.
one, someone who I assume is the person who called us out originally. I can only assume from this. I of course blacked out the moment where this happens. Anytime I get any sort of negative criticism, that goes back to the vault, and I never think about it again. But from Big Chuck Juicy, we've got eggplant emoji. I did, and he spelled it out. It doesn't. There's no eggplant emoji. He just, this is the
In
title.
quotes.
Yeah, it's in quotes. I did my 2021 Spotify Wrapped, and apparently I've listened to y'all for 71 episodes for a total of 8,343 minutes this year. Yee!
Woo!
Oh God.
But I must
talk too
commend
much.
you, unless this is some of Bob's editing wizardry. The To Be Fair count has dropped to an average of below 1 per episode since my last review months ago. Keep it up and feel free to say my name again. Thank you for your review, Big Chuck Juicy. And unfortunately, it's not because we're being conscientious of providing the greatest, experience possible for you guys. It really comes down to the fact I can't say it unironically anymore. After you call this out, it's like a joke. Anytime I say To Be Fair, I can't say it seriously anymore. It's gone.
Even when I'm talking to other people, every time I say To Be Fair now, it like
Makes you
resonates in me,
stumble.
and I'm like, oh, why did I say that? Oh God. And I'm like, they
Yeah.
don't understand the joke. But
Well,
this is
and I
funny.
did make a YouTube video There was about 5 minutes long of just to be fairs, and, of like cuts of the show of to be fair, 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 to be fair. Like it was
Who was the
pretty
most
bad.
frequently in that video?
It was a toss up between you and me. I didn't count though.
Oh, I think it was you. I think we did count, and it was you for sure.
So
To
what
be
do you
fair, I've said it
alternatively
is.
say? Wait, like instead of to be fair, how do you open a statement?
Well, in
A
consideration of
variety of
others,
ways.
In consideration, yeah.
I know some people like this, but it's maybe
In
obvious to
my
some.
opinion.
But
to play devil's advocate for a
There
moment.
you go.
I
That's
do
the better
I
one.
do devil's advocate a lot, which I'm going to continue to do because I want you to know that it's not my actual opinion. I just want to have conversation on it.
You know
I
the one I
usually
use
start
the
with-
most is? Oh, go ahead. No, I don't want to
I was
cut
just
you
gonna
off.
make a joke.
Oh.
I just start with, if you weren't stupid, you'd. No, I'm just kidding.
There you go.
Mm.
I like if I'm being honest. That's usually
Yeah.
how I open a statement.
If I'm being
Yeah,
honest.
the only problem is I think that those have functionally different meanings because
I,
to be
I
fair
thought that
comes
was
in.
going way. I thought you were going to say the only difference is that I'm never honest,
No.
and it was.
Well, no. I just mean like the to be fair is usually I'm proceeding at something I don't necessarily agree with, or like I try to. That's where I'm giving a different perspective. It's usually not me being honest. It's like to be fair, some idiots might believe this.
Well,
Uh,
and I used to work with a guy like closely. He was like my partner at work. We worked on all the projects together, and sometimes he'd be like, "Well, to be honest, blah blah blah. To be honest, blah blah blah." And he'd do that a lot. I'd be like thinking to myself, "Are you just normally not honest with me? Like, what's going on?"
Do you have to announce it when you're honest?
it's a
Fair.
little easier to do that than announce when you're lying. Okay, it's a little weirder.
That's
that
fair.
way.
Yeah. No, I
But
think it's more. I think it's more so addressing the variety of phrases that we use, because I think we just used it way too much.
yeah, I honestly, I don't even know if that's true or not. But no matter what, I can't say it unironically anymore. So
Agreed.
minimally, let's say it again. Big Chuck Juicy, you at least ruined it for us. But thank you guys for your reviews. We also got an email from someone who I'm pretty sure was popping into our streams as we've been streaming hardcore, which is nice. Nettie.
Wait, he's
Hey.
cheating on us, and he's popping into your stream too?
Oh yeah, he actually oh, I
Mm.
didn't know you didn't know that. He
Oh.
popped in and was complaining about you guys a little
Okay.
bit, giving me some of the inside details of what goes on in your streams.
Oh man.
But from Nettie, oh no, I don't want to call him out. That's a little bit on blast. But hey, I've been listening to the podcast at work for the last few months, and I'm enjoying it so much. I love everyone. I can drift off at work for 2 to 3 hours, and my night goes a lot quicker. I pick up awesome tips and listen to cool discussions. Been chatting with Bob and Mel today while they do Season of Mastery together. I have to say, I have one thing to say. Mel, why are you so deep? And hold on, let me put you on follow. I'm assuming, is it Bob following Mel? Is that?
Always.
Yep.
Always. He's like,
He came in and was
Mel.
like, I'm bored because Bob's always following. I'm popping into your stream because you're doing the action pulls. You know, if you want to see action and danger, you
Oh
pop into the
yeah.
Yip
I
Show.
don't think
Well,
that's
If you
what
want
he
to see
said.
some people yelling at each other about herbalism, that's when you.
the Mel you're too deep is like she'll just be getting in there. Like I'm like
deep in.
yeah, I'm like hitting the edges, and like she's like just running right in there. I'm like, Mel, you're too deep. You're too deep.
No. Whatever.
That's like when we play arena. We were doing fives last night. Whenever like someone who's usually playing PvE joins, so we had our good enhanced shaman Wop Slime, our good friend, in the guild. He just sprints to the back line. We're like, no, get back to us, come back.
Oh, that was Bob initially. That was every
Oh, it's
warrior
every melee
in
at the
season
beginning.
1 of Arena. It was like, all right, I'm charging in, and it'd be like, I am stealthed on my druid, like way far away from you. I don't know how you expect to heal.
That's why I don't feel bad for putting on blast because every single one of us did it. We're like, I want to kill this
Oh, yeah.
healer back here. We're just charging all the way back.
Yep. Into all the shaman totems. Like, you're just like right there. Yep, it's fine.
But that was from Nettie on Firemaw EU. Thank you so much, and thanks for popping into our streams. It's been fun to
Yeah,
play Season of Mastery and chat with people and not die
I haven't
yet.
Or
died yet.
die, or sometimes die.
Yeah,
You
occasionally
know,
die. I've had some pretty close calls. I play fast and stupid, but the living is the fun part, that thrill, the exhilaration of me sitting there at 5% health sheeping something as I'm just like getting my mana back, regenning. That's where
Mhm.
I mean, I guess I can wait until we talk about what we've been doing lately to
well,
tell you
I've
about
got
my
some good news for you. That
near-death
was our
encounter.
last email.
Yep. Whoops. So, who does want to go first on what we've been doing lately?
I'll do it because once again, I'm
What?
falling behind on everything. So I haven't done much except we had a prospecting party before raid, and I felt it really important to talk about this. Where we just got so many living rubies, it was unbelievable. We prospected like 900 ore or something like that, and we got like 18 living rubies. It was like one person got 3 living rubies in a row. It was incredible. So
Nice.
that was
I feel
fun.
like we're really extending the definition of party, right? Like prospecting party. Like,
I'm
Oh,
sorry
sorry,
I
Mel.
ruined
You
your
weren't
prospecting
invited, so
party.
I can understand how you don't know exactly what it's like. But
was
we all
was
get
it
together
just
before
you?
raid. We have a special little hangout that we do, and we crack open a nice brew. We
all
it's
right,
a
all
good
right.
time.
I
It's a
picture
good.
Pitt and like his like summoned companion pet just
Right.
prospecting and calling it a
Calling it a
prospecting
party.
I'm broke. I don't even bring the ore. It's our guild bank manager Kim who brings
He's a
the ore.
nut.
He's
I
also doing
love him, but
something.
he's a nut.
He's doing something incredible right now. I'm just gonna feed off of what he's doing this week, so it sounds like I still play this game every day. But we have a secret Discord now called
It's
Vargflocken
secret.
Treasury. Oh,
It's a
I'm not supposed
secret.
to tell people. Uh,
No.
it's cool though because he's putting in these like work orders. So before he was like whispering us whenever there were work orders that needed to be done. He manages everything for the guild bank. So we need like 200 sharpening stones made, something like that. Now it's like a little quest game. He puts work orders into the server, and it'll be like, I like take these from this bank, make 200 weight stones, reward 5 weight stones for yourself, and you get to keep them and put the rest into the guild bank that he says, and that's fun. I
That's
haven't gotten to
awesome.
do one yet, but
I
my
haven't
my
gotten to do one either. But yeah, it feels like, listen, it's like part of, I love it because he's utilizing behavioral principles, which is what I do. And it's like, you take this time and I will give you this and motivate you to complete this task for me, right? He sent me so many herbs one time and was like, will you craft potions with these herbs or elixirs with these herbs and you can keep all the procs that you get? And I'm like,
ooh,
okay,
that's big.
yeah. So I
Yeah.
crafted all of these elixirs and then I was like, are you sure you don't want some of these? I feel like I should donate to the bank. Like, I don't know. Like, first of all, you know, I get all my materials from the bank, and then when I'm not on doing that, I'm on hardcore. So I don't really need all the money.
Yeah, I mean that's
It-
that's how I am too. I have no use for money. I mean, I don't have my epic flyer, but other than that, I have no use for money.
it's cool you mentioned that though. It's a kind of a dream of mine. It's kind of a cringy dream, but it's still a dream of mine. That reminds me of something that I've always wanted with Classic WoW, which is like a real RP server with real RP on it, where you can go there and like there's just some guy behind the counter at the Goldshire Inn, right? And he's like, go kill 15 kobolds and get me, 10 candles. And when you come back, I'll trade you these 3 minor healing potions that I crafted, right? That would be so cool to me. And it'll never happen. Ever.
I think that is really cool. It's like the GTA RP stuff. And
Yeah.
back in the day in RuneScape, got to throw that in before we're done.
Oh
On
god.
forums, there used to be like companies and work orders all the time. It'd be like, we're hiring this many miners to get like we need this much ore, and we're gonna pay this price. And I always thought
Yeah,
that
it's
stuff was
cool.
cool. Combine that. I grew up on an RP PvP server, so I get it. I
Mhm.
want the NPCs to be players. I want the leather worker to be sitting there selling me his goods. I
Yeah,
definitely get it.
I'm a D&D player at heart, and like the potential that Classic, specifically Classic, has, whether it's TBC or regular Classic, it's through the roof, and people just need
Yeah.
to. I think people need to latch onto it and like just dive into the RP. I
Well,
might
and I think
actually
if they
like,
gave you
try it.
another way, right? Because let's be honest, in Classic, we didn't go and farm our own materials because we had the money to do it and to buy it.
Bots did
And
it for us.
Yeah, all the bots.
yeah, well, and it was like you'd go out and you'd just have to aimlessly farm mobs, right? And it just seemed like, okay, it's gonna take forever, right? But if you had a way to get anything you wanted, so you could get, a flask of, whatever by doing this quest. And maybe it was really hard, right? But you at least had a way to do it without being alchemy and without going and farming your own mobs, right? I don't know. That probably changes a lot that I'm not considering. So
That's why you need player NPCs offering the flasks.
Yeah, they have
That's the-
add-ons for it. There is an add-on where you can leave things in your inventory and it turns your character into a vendor, and people can come up to trade you. And if they have the add-on, it shows like what you have for sale and what the prices are and like what you desire, and like you can barter back and forth.
I'm down for this.
Interesting.
This season is the season of hardcore. Next season.
Next season is the
It's
season of
RP
RP.
season.
I'm down. We'll start it. We'll take
we're
over
doing
the
it.
internet as GTA RP did.
I've been desperately
Okay,
trying to get
isn't
my
that-
guild to let me RP raid. I
Listen,
really
isn't
That would be so cool.
isn't player NPC like completely conflicting?
What do you mean?
Like, what does NPC
Well, no, it
stand
wouldn't
for?
be NPC. So okay, it wouldn't
be
be a player
PPC.
NPC. It would be players vendors. Like it'd be a player vendor. Like it'd be nice. You you'd
Right,
have
but you
to
can't
like
you
overwrite.
can't say
Imagine
player NPC.
It'd be an
'cause-
RPC. It'd be real player character or whatever.
Right, because it's a non-player character,
Yeah.
right? Is NPC.
Well, yeah, yes.
So you have a
Mel,
player, non-player character?
I dumbed
it'd
it.
be
It's
RPC.
just dumbed down for everybody. It's just so you understand the principle. Instead of going to the repair shop, you
Yeah.
got to go to a blacksmith who will repair your gear for you. That's
Mhm.
that's the core. Or my dream, I just want to go into Black Temple yelling, "Illidan,
Oh my god.
your time has come to an end,
I can't.
villain. We kicked you out of Azeroth, and now it's time to rid the universe of you once and for all."
That'd be
Bob
cool.
left,
You
I'm
should do
ecstatic.
it and then just clip it. You know?
I'm with
As
you,
my-
Yip.
As my guild groans at me, I would. I have the kind of horrible tank attitude that I would subject everybody to
I
that.
make people do it in hardcore daily. Like if I before I did Deadmines with Crix, I made everyone kneel in a circle and I said a prayer for the group in the Discord comms before going in. Like I think hardcore players are more inclined to just laugh. And typically the RP's funny, so they get in there and have some fun with it. It's pretty cool.
It is fun. Well, that's all I've been doing. I'll let the floor go. I'm extending my time as much as I can for someone who played barely more
Okay,
than raid.
I actually played this last week quite a bit. But hardcore counts, right?
Of course, hardcore counts.
Okay, because if it didn't, I would have nothing to say. Because I raided. And then other than that, like I raided on Tuesday night. And then I logged on Thursday and I got to the raid on Thursday and iPod messages me and is like, "You still have your spirit buff from Tuesday." And I was like, "Yeah, sorry." But in between, I was working on my hardcore duo with Bob. And it's been going. It's been good. We've had a lot of fun. Bob gets mad at me because, he has to pee
Spatial
8 million
awareness.
times.
Well, spatial awareness is what usually I'm like, because we'll be running somewhere, and I turn the camera backwards so I could just watch, and I'm watching her. I'm like, she's gonna aggro that mob. She's not gonna just
And I
turn left just a
don't.
little bit, and you do
Can
do
I
the
put Bob on
spatial
blast really
awareness.
Can I put Bob on blast really quick? I
You
wasn't
sure?
gonna do this.
Absolutely.
I tuned in for like a minute and I saw the funniest chain of events I've ever seen in my life. You're walking to Thelsamar in Loch Modan from like south where the Trogs are, and Bob doesn't tell you anything. Stops in the middle of the road and starts crafting bolts. And then he's just standing there, and you're like, "Where are you, Bob?" And you're just like, "Crafting bolts." And I was like, "Okay, that's kind of funny."
We
And
weren't
then
really in
as you're
danger.
coming towards Thalsamar, Mel goes and grabs an herb, and you're like, "I should have been the herbalist, so because I would know which herbs to go get or something." And I was like, "Bob, you were just standing in the middle of the road crafting bolts, you crazy person."
Welcome to my life, right?
I think I
Oh my
said I
god.
would have known which ones were not worthwhile.
Yeah, yeah.
Something
And
like
I think
that.
you even clarified you didn't mean like right now either, but I just thought it was really funny.
Oh my god. Yes. And Nettie can probably attest, he's watched a lot of our hardcore streams, but Bob goes on follow way too often and in very inconvenient times, right? Like we're like deep in a cave and he's like, "All right, I'm going to put you on follow." And I'm like, "Put me- what?" Like he's like, "I really got to pee." And I'm like, "This is not the place or time."
Remind everyone of your classes.
I'm a
Uh,
priest and he's a warlock.
Warlock priest, yeah, and I mean, I'm pretty sure usually when I put you on follow, it's like
Usually.
we're in a non-scary area, and when I'm not, I'm like, "Are you sure you're okay? Are you sure? Okay, you sure you're gonna be okay?" And she's like, "Yes, Bob."
Okay, well, he goes, "I need to drink." And I pulled a Murloc the other day. And he's like, "Okay, I say I need to drink, and you pull a Murloc." And I'm like, "This Murloc is 2 levels below me. I will be 100% fine." Like, I've killed 100 of them already
She's
waiting for this
also
stupid quest.
she's also a priest with, the greater wand, so it's basically god mode until like level like 25 or so.
Very good.
The
Yeah,
greater
like, I just
magic
shield
destroyer.
and wand.
hmm
They
Yeah,
die.
to be honest, like people have their opinions on like what the easiest class is to play in hardcore, and it's mostly hunter, warlock, and then down the list from there. I think priest is number one, the easiest class to play in hardcore. Period.
Yeah, I mean,
Priest
I
is
I have
awesome.
so
hmm
many like, "Oh, shit" buttons, right? Like
hmm And
like, you
priest
can
warlock,
desperate prayer at, like, 10 or something crazy.
Yeah, we're sitting there.
priest warlock's insane.
Well,
Yeah.
Like the utility together is crazy.
we're sitting there. I'm doing mage priest with another friend, and we're in like a cave, and this priest is all by herself, like 2 levels below the cave, and just destroying everything. And we're like, hmm.
Yeah. Oh,
They're
we did
nuts.
have this one encounter. This was interesting. Okay, so we go to this, we're in this cave, we're deep in this cave, right? Which I know everybody tells us not to go deep into a cave, but you know, we get bored just like Yip does, but we survive, unlike Yip does.
Listen,
And
I'm a warrior, a warlock priest over there. Your warlock priest duo.
fair. But we get to this spot where you have to, fight these 3 mobs for this quest, and there's a druid there. And we get there and Bob says like, "Hey, you can go first," right? And so then he attacks
This
these
was the
mobs.
quest. This was the last Trog quest. The 3 NPCs, they're not elite, but they're named in the cave. It's the last Trog quest on the Trog quest line in Lochmodan.
Right. Is it in Lockman? I
It's a
don't know.
very dangerous
Yeah.
quest.
It's a
Very
very
scary
dangerous
one,
quest.
yeah.
Well, we survived. But we tell this druid, Bob tells this druid, "You can go first. We'll wait," right? Because he was sitting there waiting for the spawn. So they spawn, he goes in and he attacks. And I'm like, "Okay, well, we'll help him." Right? So I tab and I wait until I see damage on the character and then I put my dot on and then same thing with the other 2, right?
This
Somehow,
whole
I
time,
think
I'm telling her, don't help him. Just like I don't like it when people help me. Just don't help him. It's hardcore. Just chill here. We're letting him go first. Don't help him. And she's like, just help. And I was like, fine, I'll come help.
I think Bob, I said, "Just come help, Bob." And I think Bob just sent his pet in and got one of the mob tags.
And this was a
Soft.
while after he started, like a good
Oh, yeah,
while,
we're
because
talking
we
like
were like going back and forth. I
maybe
was like, let's not help.
6, 7 seconds, right? Like it wasn't like
Like 10 or
immediate.
10 or 15, really, to be honest.
Maybe that. But either way,
The guy
Bob
didn't
gets
tag all the mobs. Yeah, basically.
Bob gets one of the tags, or I do, but I know that I tabbed and like waited until I saw damage. This guy went like off the rails on us. Like he was so mad. He like messaged us these horrible things and
Oh,
then
he called us
ignored
the
us and
C
reported
word straight
us.
up.
Yeah. And I was like,
Could have been Australian. They say that all the time for fun.
they do.
Well,
It's
but
true.
it was wonderful for me because I felt horrible, and then with one sentence, I felt awesome. Like he just basically, with his sentence to me, I went from feeling horrible. I would have felt horrible all night about it and thought about it. And instead I felt like, yeah, take that, you son of a, you know what I mean? Like it
Let me
was,
ask a
he
question.
basically did me a favor because he was a complete like jerk.
Did you tell him out loud that you were gonna wait for him to go?
We did, yeah.
Bob
Okay,
did.
And
he's
we
right.
did.
You guys are in
That's
the
what I said.
wrong.
No.
That's what I said.
Yeah,
I
mean,
said,
If
I
you said
felt bad
no,
about it.
I would not have tried to tag every mob. I would have
Correct.
killed the one mob as quick as I could. So
Right.
I'm not kidding. Honestly, he's not correct after he like curses you out. But
Right.
I would
And
be pretty upset
But I
in
still
my
did feel
defense,
bad.
I said don't help him. It was
Yeah,
Mel's
this is
fault,
Mel's
the
fault. You're
entire
right. Yep.
thing.
Yep,
So
it's
there-
all Mel's fault.
Mel-
I agree. Mel, what have
Mel
you
was
done?
smart enough to tab to the mobs and make sure they had already taken
Pretty
damage
sure
before
you're
doing
the one
anything.
that tagged him, Mel, but maybe
there's
not.
There's a fundamental lesson to be learned here within hardcore WoW. Before you start your run, you need to decide: am I going to help somebody, or am I going to respect the 1v1? Right? Because a lot of people want to help people, but I can tell you, every time I've ever helped someone in 2 years of playing hardcore, I have either died or they have got mad at me for some reason. So I just gave up and I said, hey, you know what? It's a personal challenge. If you think that me standing here, you think I'm going to help you, you're wrong. First of all, because I want you to die. You know, respect the 1v1. I'm okay with that.
That's where I'm at.
It's tough. It's tough in the starter zone. So this is why I think things are a little bit different. There are very limited mob tags in the starter zone. So Westfall is the one that I'm thinking of the most. I need this stupid null pause. Like I need all these items. So what happens is on my warrior, for instance, which doesn't exist anymore, I can't solo a pack of 4 in a camp, but there's this awkward moment where there's 2 other hardcore people standing there, and
And you're like, I'll
they're
go in,
going to every
and
but
you
like
pull a couple off.
I think societally, most people understand that when you pull a big pack, everyone grabs one and pulls it off, and I think that it's happening a lot at low levels. But the
Unless
problem is
you're
with a
me.
quest like that one, where you need 3 different individual mobs
Yeah,
that
you
all
needed
are
all 3 of them.
named.
And it had no
Exactly.
benefit to us. We still had to wait for them to respawn. Like there was 0 benefit for us tagging one of those mobs.
Yeah,
I think a
exactly.
lot of people do the challenge though as like a point of like a solo challenge for themselves.
Yeah.
And they actually get mad if you help them
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
I don't-
I do it all the time.
I get a little mad, but
Mhm.
like I don't vocalize it. Like I'm just like I just say to myself, man,
no,
I
you
didn't
don't
ask for your
whisper
help.
or anything.
Yeah, like I don't say
the
anything
second
mean
you
to him.
type something to someone, you've gone too far.
Yeah.
Right. That's just
Yep.
how it goes. But like for instance, I was doing I was on my warlock and I was leveling and I was going to go do King Bang and Stranglethorn solo on my warlock as a challenge. And I'm doing it, and then a hunter comes in and starts helping me with the ads when they spawn, and I'm like, okay, well, for starters, you messed up my whole plan because you attacking my feared mobs is gonna get me killed, right?
Right.
And secondly, all of the fun of this, you know, attempting it and like getting it done, all of that fun is now diminished by external forces coming in to help. So
Yeah.
I
just
will
don't
say-
help people.
Oh, sorry. I thought
Oh,
you were
no,
done.
I just don't help people. Easy fix.
The one
ever.
thing I do appreciate, I don't appreciate help when, when like, they're helping me with like mobs and stuff like that. I'm not gonna lie, I do appreciate the random buffs people give. I never ask because that's against the rules, but like I do appreciate those. I'm not gonna lie. I'm like, oh,
I
Okay.
hate
well,
them.
thank you.
I took them off for the longest time when on my warrior, right click.
Why?
The whole point of doing warrior was to challenge myself to see what I can do solo. So I agree. I actually was I understand it's the fact that everyone's playing hardcore. There's a bunch of people around. That's why I wanted to get past the starter zones on my warrior, because I hate that when I pull a camp, people come help me. I just understand that that's what's gonna happen now. Like everyone kind of has this understanding that if you pull the camp, other people are gonna pull
Well,
mobs off.
and
I would
lots
Okay,
of
but
rather,
here's the
time they're not
question.
trying to help you with that. They
yeah,
want
they're
the
just trying to
tag.
attack. They're
Yeah.
getting their own tags.
Mhm.
It's usually
Yeah,
selfish, but for me,
because
I
they can't
totally
take
agree.
4 you.
I agree with the elite stuff. I want to see what my warrior can do. I want to hamstring kite the is it a Yeti, I think, that's above like in Dunmorrow and stuff.
Yeah,
These like
Vagash.
yeah, I want to see if I can do these things, but when you see these like other people waiting here, you're like they're going to help me. And
You
then
can, and I did. I can. You can totally do it though. The hardcore community really respects people that ask to do it. So like when I got to Vagash, there was a line, and I waited my turn in line, and then I typed in /say, please nobody help me, please respect the 1v1. I want to do this on my own.
yeah.
And they all respected it. Everyone just stood there watching me kite it to the road. And I know that takes longer to kill it, and it's kind of disrespectful for the people that are waiting in line. But we're all a big community of people that respect each other's challenge, at least for the most part. There are some bad apples, but
Yeah,
just
maybe I should
honestly,
be
It's
more
just a
vocal.
different
Yeah.
mindset, right? I think I have to change my mindset because I feel like in regular classic WoW, I would have felt like such a jerk for just standing there and waiting for somebody to die or to, do something like or to not buff somebody. But my question about buffs, here's the thing. So we're not allowed to ask for buffs, right?
I was going to bring this up. This is hilarious what happened to her.
So I'm standing there and somebody told me that if you buff somebody that's PvP flagged, it will PvP flag you, right?
it will.
So I'm like real hesitant to buff anybody. I'm like, I don't know about that. And
The add-on
so,
will tell you though if they're PvP flagged. This giant thing is like they're PvP flagged.
oh
And I
really?
hate
Maybe I
that.
haven't
Yeah.
run into
I
anybody.
hate that, but that's a different talking point entirely.
Yeah.
I hate the add-on.
Oh god.
I also
So
hate the
I
guide.
so I haven't like I buff some people, right? And I do whatever. But this person came up to me and buffed me like 17 times in a row.
So he's
Yeah.
not asking for it, but he's
Yeah.
asking for it.
Or they'll dance like around you, like wiggling their character really fast,
Right.
in front of you. Just
You're
give
like,
them a rank
"What?"
1. Give them a rank 1 fort.
Nice.
Like that's what I would do, and then walk away.
There you go.
Because they won't notice, right? They'll just see that the fort buff came up, and they're not gonna
Like,
hug.
"Oh,
I
yeah."
They'll see
actually
free
check it
stamina,
every time. I actually check it every time. I'm like, oh, I wonder which one I got.
The best one to do, Bob, for you is just give him a undead breathing, like an undying breath, real quick, and then run away.
Dude, sometimes they might be like, awesome, I'm going to run to do this quest now.
yeah.
Here, like I think part of this problem for the helping, the buffing, everything comes down to the fact that everyone has different goals right now. With there being a road to rag where people actually want to raid on their hardcore character, it's not about like some people aren't thinking I want to challenge myself to have the hardest time to get to 60. They want to get to 60 as easy as possible without dying so that they can try to raid on their character. And it's not about the 1v1 for them. It's just about how do I not die when I hit max level. Whereas because this is my first like foray into hardcore, I want that like what can I do? What am I good at? Like you said, I don't want to use the guide to tell me which route to go. I want to say like, okay, what in my brain, what do I know exists? I know vendors have bags. I know that I want to get some wands. Is it worth getting those wands? Where else can I get some wands? Like I like having that knowledge myself, seeing what I could do with it. But some people want to hit 60 in raid, and that's totally valid to not just want to die because you got someone was watching you and wanted to respect the 1v1 when they're like, I'm trying to hit 60.
There's a shift in dynamic that we've never seen before in the past 2 years, and it's because of the road rag where people want to get to 60 and raid. I was talking to Cargos about it last week, and I told him like, hey, this it's cool. What we're doing is awesome. Like we're doing in-game dungeons. We're a community that's primarily made of solo players that are actually getting to dungeon together like every day, multiple times, spending hours and hours and hours together, which is great. But it does kind of detract from and diminish the achievement of just hitting 60. Which for me, that has always been the real challenge of hardcore is, and it's these two different mentalities. There's the mentality of the raider, the person who wants to come in, do the most damage, you know, show everyone how good they are at the game, right? And then there's the people that play with the quote unquote essence of hardcore, which is solo challenge, solo self-found. They wouldn't even need the add-on because they wouldn't break the rules anyway, or else they would feel like they're cheating themselves, right? Stuff like that.
Right.
And these two mentalities are kind of clashing right now, and we're just kind of watching it unfold and seeing how it's going, and it's pretty interesting dynamically. We're in untreaded water, right? So it's
For
pretty
sure.
sweet.
Well, so okay, so actually for me, like, I guess I have to get into what I've been doing because we just got a 1/3 of what I've been doing with Mel. Like, first off, I want to
Wait,
say,
can we first tell him? So we're level 20.
about the almost death.
Yeah. So we're level 20, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now.
Red
We got to
Ridge
level 20?
Mountains. We were level 20 in Red Ridge Mountains, just north of
Ooh.
town, in the
Oh,
Knoll
Yes.
camps.
Yeah.
Bowl camps.
So we're going to kill gnolls. We go like, it's not a cave, but it's like a cave, right? It's in the
Very
mountains.
much like a cave.
Yeah, where you like going into the enclosed mountain area.
Yeah. So we go in there, and then I like pull one, and then like 3 others spawn, right?
Well, there were 7
So-
in the area. She pulled 1, but it probably wouldn't have pulled the other ones.
Okay, but then like 3 others spawn like on top of us, right? So we're like, shit, let's go, right? So we're running.
So Bob goes, "Okay, just run. I'll leave the Void Walker. Just run." So I figured, just run meant run back the way we came, where we killed mobs
Okay,
in.
well, I get
Oh, no.
disoriented about where I am, and like, and so I run the other way to all the mobs, right? Instead of the cleared out way where there's no mobs, right? And so I'm like, but once you're in, like, you're effed, right? Like, you're not gonna turn around and go back the other way. So I'm just like, all right, I got this.
And I'm over here
like,
in the safe zone going, "Oh my god, we've lost." And she's going, "I don't know what's going on." She's fearing, she's shielded, she's healing, and then I catch a glimpse of her on the other side of this other way over here, and I was like, "Wait, hold on. I'm pull that Void Walker, walk towards me." And she's like, "I can't see you." And I was like, "Pinging, I'm pinging where I'm at." Like, and we're just like freaking out. And then
dude, I desperate prayed, I heal
Oh,
potted, I
man.
shielded, I feared, like everything.
we had been
made it.
drinking like that entire session, and at that point I go, "Nope, we're done. Going to the inn. We're done. We're done for the night. We're done. Going to the inn." Oh man, it
But
was
that
so
was
scary.
honestly, that was the first time at level 20 that I ever felt like I was even close to dying.
Wasn't that the best? Wasn't that the best
Mhm.
part? That like coming together, having to
No.
utilize what everything you have to live. Like I like that part a lot. That's why when I do
Yeah.
duos,
Well, I don't know. I
we
only have
do
one experience with that part.
I'm gonna
Well,
like
yeah,
it when my toolkit's bigger.
fun.
Like if
You're a
I could
you're
have
a
fell
warlock.
domed, pulled out the Void Walker, like I would have been back in the action immediately. Like,
I mean, my toolkit's pretty big. That's why I
You guys
survived.
got alchemy and stuff. You've got a toolkit available to
Yeah,
yourself.
Bob would not have survived, I don't think.
It's interesting. Like I always think kind of philosophically about these things. Like when you're about to die in a hardcore game, whether it's Diablo, Path of Exile, RuneScape, World of Warcraft, whatever, anything, you get the same reactions from people that if they're in danger in real life.
Yeah.
Right.
The fight or flight syndrome actually kicks in. Some people are really good under that pressure. They know the buttons they have. They have all their hotkeys ready for it, right? But
Right.
then some people completely forget how to play the game. They start clicking all their abilities, trying to figure out what do I have in my bags? Like, what's going on? Where am I? Who am I? What class am I playing? And then they die.
Yeah.
And it's pretty crazy how a video game can bring out like an actual real life, like
Fear.
scientific.
Yeah,
Right.
my
You know,
heart
it's
was
that same
thumping.
emotion, right? Because it was like, and that was like, it's exciting, right? Like, and I know if this was just classic WoW, I would have just been like, all right, I'll see you again in a second. Like, too
And
many.
it's bad. Like I've been in that situation. I've died enough on characters to even be able to analyze how I deal with those situations. And it's like my whole thing is I start worrying like, oh my god, the guild's gonna see that I just died. Like, what are they gonna say if I die at level 16 in Darkshore, right? Like,
I had this close call in the same cave that you guys were just talking about where you stole someone's kill. I think I have a clip of it where I was just being dumb. I was like jumping up and down, like, and then I didn't realize I couldn't reset the mobs down below on the rock. So I was down to like 3% health with something next to me. And like Bob's talked about it before, where you have a level of mastery over your character where things kind of like slow down and you're able to do more. That's what it was like. It's like, I'm like, and I'm just like hitting all the right buttons. I'm like doing a threat analysis of where all the other mobs are. I'm like, I have to stand right here in order to not pull anything else. I get the sheep off and I'm just sitting there and like it's just like, that moment was just like that was insane. Like dying as a tank in current level raid stuff is not as exhilarating as being like a level 17 mage almost dying because I'm an idiot. But like
Well,
recovering from
did you
that
see?
idiocracy is great.
Did you see the tweet that came out from Blizzard that like the mob type that is responsible for the most deaths in Season of Mastery is the kobolds or nobles or however you say it.
Cool.
Kobolds,
Meat
I
take
believe it.
candle.
My first almost death, was on the Fargo Deep Mine kobolds on my warrior. I like 2 mobs for a warrior is like already danger zone, so I just wasn't ready.
it's crazy how the meta changes too. Like, 2 mobs on a warrior is gonna kill you, but if you are following any typical guide, it's going to say, well, go get a 2-hander that does a bunch of damage with the slowest attack speed possible, right? So you do that, and then you can die because you're 1 auto attack off with a 2-second attack speed. So
Right.
the meta is completely out of the window when it comes to hardcore. You got to just play with feel and figure out what works for you.
I've
Yeah,
even noticed like my talent points that I put in. Like I don't follow what I would have done as a
Mhm.
priest leveling up. I'm like, we need a better shield. I'm gonna get points in a shield.
Yeah,
Like,
that's one of my first 3 tips. I have 3 tips that people ask because they always come in my stream and they say, "Hey, I'm starting hardcore today. What are like some tips that you could give me?" And I always say, make your own talent spec. Like, make it up
What works
from
for you?
scratch. Yeah, because it's gonna fit your playstyle. You're gonna understand your class better because you're actually reading the talents instead of being like,
mhm,
okay, level 15, Wowhead says I should go into improved corruption, right?
right.
Without any understanding of like the benefit of it.
yeah.
There's a lot of like min maxers that say like 3 of 3 corruption is beats the GCD and you don't need, you know what I mean? But it's all out the window. Just make your own
Yeah.
build, enjoy it, and always have an escape plan.
Well,
And
Yeah,
you're gonna
three
be
of
other
three
things
though, you
when
can't be moving while you're doing corruption. So
exactly. It's very hard to kite.
the two-hander thing resonated with me because I remember leveling my warrior the first time in Classic, and I was like, "Oh, the first thing I'm gonna do, I'm gonna get some money." And I hope this isn't like horribly wrong, but I know that there's a sword for sale, a white one in Stormwind. I saved some money up. I did some skinning, got that one, but I very quickly noticed that you're sitting on a mob. You got a 3.5-second swing timer, and then they parry you. And now for
Mm-hmm.
7 seconds, you'll do no damage in that entire time. And it's like, that's crazy and scary. And I've had
yep.
times where I'm like, I'm just gonna run from this mob. Like he dodged me, he parried me. I'm coming back to this in a second. Like this
Well,
did
That's
not work
smart.
out.
Something
There,
people sleep on with warriors too is staves. Staves, like up to level 30, are sick for 2-handed warriors.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, for
I
sure.
I have a clip on my channel yet of me 1v1ing a level 10 mob as I was level 10 on a warrior, and I had a 2-hander, and it was 1 hit from dead, and it parried, dodged, or missed 16 times in a row, and I died.
Oh no.
16
Damn.
times and it
Yeah.
it even like I all of my rend attempts missed. Like literally
Oh no.
everything missed. It was horrible.
Yeah, I definitely I can see that being possible because I felt that sometimes where I'm like, I just killed 10 of these mobs and now this one is giving me trouble. Like this is ridiculous. But yeah, I know it's fun.
So, all right. So back, what I was saying is, so I said all the time that, hardcore was fun to watch. It's not for me. And I have been proven wrong in a way that's like out of this world proven wrong. Like, I started Thursday, the day before the show last Friday, and I talked about how much fun I was having. I had done a duo up to like level 8 or something with my friend that I'm doing mage priest with, and I'd done a solo up to like level 10 with a warlock.
So
And
then what happened?
I thought that was fun, but over from that Thursday until this Thursday, yesterday, because I decided I was going to stream every second of every hardcore that I'm doing, I've streamed over 70 hours in 7 days. And that's probably more than I streamed for the last year and a half. Like, it's forcing me to get comfortable with streaming, and it's been amazing because I've learned so much crap from chat. Like, you were talking about the white weapon. I'm sitting there on my rogue here. I'm jumping ahead of the story, but I'm on my solo rogue, and chat's like, "Hey, well, I just traded swords to use this green sword that I had." And chat was like, "Hey, go buy the sword from the vendor right there in Stormwood, right next to him." I go over there and I'm like, "Well, this sword's damage is way better. I would have never even thought to look on this guy." And then I'm looking on all the different vendors and seeing all the different patterns that are there at different times, and there's so much crap on the people that I just never clicked on, and I'm doing it because of hardcore, and I'm learning a bunch of different things from chat, which is really cool. And so basically,
Well, and I
like,
think it's funny you realize that things are so much more valuable when you can't use the auction house, right? So you need to save certain things, or like you realize, okay, I've got cooking, so don't throw away those crisp spider legs or something, because I'm gonna
You're on
need
your
those
priest.
to.
Don't throw away light feathers.
Yeah,
oh yeah,
no, I
like
know.
just a
And then now I need
ton.
more bag space. And then I did herbalism and enchanting to get us the wands, right? But then I had all of these herbs taking up all of my bank spots. And I'm like, okay, come on, because I was gonna switch to alchemy. And so finally we worked up my enchanting and we got our good wands, and then I was able to work up my herbalism. But then I think like, so when you're playing a hardcore duo, and Winky, you might know the answer to this. When you're playing a hardcore duo, you can't log in without the other person, right? So I can't
Not.
log in and work up alchemy while Bob's
The
not on.
hardest part of duos in my
Yeah,
mind.
it's one of my least favorite formats of the rules are for duos and trios. Yeah.
So while
Because of that
she
reason.
did that, I had to be logged on. So I worked up fishing while
Yeah, there
she
you
was
go.
working up alchemy. It worked out, but okay, so let me go back to my first character. So Monday morning, I jump on to stream, and my duo partner's not ready yet. So I'm like, okay, because I've been like doing duos with Mel at night, doing half of the day duos with my other friend, the mage priest comp, and then I've been doing my solo. So I jump on my solo, and I'm level 11, and I'm like, I get the quest to go get my Void Walker. I'm like, oh, everything's gonna get so much easier now. So I go down there, but like, Princess is there, and I'm like, oh, she's a level 9. I'm level 11. I got this. So I'm like half awake, drinking my coffee, hungover, and I go to attack Princess. And all of a sudden, it starts getting a little hairy, and her little mobs attack me, and then my little imp's dead. And for anybody listening, I'll include a clip in the chat. But then all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, okay, I need to use the fence trick bad. Like, so I start using the fence trick and I kill Princess, but then there's a little boar on each side of the fence, and I'm like, shit, what do I do now? And so I was like, I could take them. I'm not gonna get killed. They're level 7s. And then all of a sudden I'm like, no, I need to run. So I start running. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get away. And then this little boar does this little sprint thing, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna die. And that was my first and only death right there.
Okay.
But it was horrible.
It hurts.
No.
It's way worse than what Bob is
It
describing.
is way worse than the way he's saying it. Okay, because first of all, he like gets Princess down, and then the two little boars are there. And on stream, he's like, "Oh, well, I got this. This is fine. And then these boars just like annihilate him down to like, a fourth health. And he's like, oh God. Like, but his confidence level, like from when they started attacking him to a half a second later, just like got crushed.
You
And then
gotta
he
is a
says,
play.
killer.
and then he goes, yeah, I'm going to try the fence trick, right? And when he was relaying this information to me as well, he tried that, but the boars were on either side of the fence. And then I watched the clip and I said, that's not true. They were not on
They
either
were.
side.
I actually watched it right before the show because I had to get everything
None
ready
of
for the
none of this
notes.
matters because you killed Princess already. Run away.
I
Why are you trying to kill the ads? It literally you are literally 10 feet away from where they run back, where they will run away, and you're like, I'm gonna try the fence trick, and you run back into the field and die there.
well, and
You
then
were
I
already
saw
gone.
I was gonna do the fence trick, and then a freaking Defias spawned right there. I was like, oh shit, I'm gonna aggro that. And I just like my brain wasn't working. I had just woken up. I had only like 3 sips of coffee, and
Yeah,
yeah, it
this goes
was a
back to
bad
Winky's
thing.
like fight or flight response in real life. Like you definitely were
Yeah,
in
you
flight
went for
mode.
fight. Yeah, you went for fight. You got to play a warrior because I feel like leveling the warrior, I became like in tune with running away. I'm like, this is when I should run away. This is this is how far I'm gonna need to run away. Because I was like, oh, Bob's gonna get away. He's already running, and then you run back in, and I'm like, you don't need to kill these mobs, Bob. They're not part of a quest. There's no
I
reason
feel
for
like
you to stay in there.
But they
And
had
my
leather.
whole
I
my
feel
whole
like
life of being a priest, I have mastered the art of running away.
it's
Okay. So yeah, once you get to a level at a priest, like you realize that you're not gonna win this fight and you run away. And Bob, I'd always level with Bob and he'd be like, Mel, just stop and fight it. And I'd be like, nope, there's no need to fight it. I can run
Well,
away.
it turned out to be a really good thing because it would have sucked to work up a solo lock and then a lock with Mel. Like I was already kind of like, eh. And so then I made a rogue, and that has been a freaking blast. And it's great for solo too, because I'm like, oh, gotta go AFK. I will just go stealth. Like it's
Oh, that hurts me
it's
to hear you say
beautiful.
that.
It's beautiful.
You need to
Yeah.
log out. Stealth and then
Yeah.
log out.
That's how I feel.
Well,
about it.
I'll
How many deaths? I run a podcast where we watch deaths every week. I've seen thousands of deaths from people going stealth and going AFK.
Well, I don't
Yeah.
do it like in like dangerous areas. I just do it in undangerous areas, but I would still
Oh,
not feel comfortable.
I'd be
Everywhere
so
is
afraid.
dangerous.
I'd
Trust
be
me,
so afraid.
there's not a speck, there's not a pixel of safe area in the game.
Yeah, I think
There really isn't. Someone will find a way to get you killed.
that's definitely true. I want to go back
Okay.
to the Defias spawning thing really quick, though. Bob might not remember this as much, but I experienced it a lot now in the hardcore. There is a really long period of time after something spawns where it won't aggro at all in vanilla.
Unless
We have
they're
definitely.
Murlocs.
It's like a
Like,
4-second
it's
thing.
so
Except
long.
for Murlocs. Okay. You know the Murloc zone? What was the last zone we were in, Bob?
Red Ridge.
Yeah, Red Ridge.
Oh, those are
those
like
Murlocs
spawning
spawn
Murlocs.
and immediately start attacking you. Like
Mhm.
no leeway. Like it's not like usually they spawn and you have a good amount of time to like move away. Nope, not with the Murlocs. They spawn and you are in combat.
Those couple of seconds of leeway help a lot because it's like
They do help
like,
a
Yeah.
like
lot.
the fight or flight. You're like, I'm gonna fight, and then 2 things spawn, and you're like, okay,
I'm not gonna fight.
time to leave, and you get to live. That's
There's a couple rules to it as well with the way they interact with you when they spawn. Like if you are going for a chest in a camp and you click it the millisecond that they spawn, activating an item near them bypasses that timer and they all jump to you. And it could be anything as like a box of food or a chest or like a quest item. So you have to be
Right.
really careful
or
whenever you see somewhere where other people have already cleared it, just put your senses on
Danger,
the high
real
alert.
Robinson.
Yeah.
Danger.
Oh yeah.
that's
I've done that. You know those like knoll camps, right? Where there's chests there. Like when I get to a knoll camp and there's a chest and there's like no mobs even dead on the ground, I'm like, oh God. Okay, I'm going.
I mean, that's what happened to my warrior. I went into a cave that was full of people and empty, and then suddenly everything respawned and everyone was gone, and I'm in the back. I'm like, okay, here we go.
Yeah, it makes me much more hyper aware of what I'm doing, who's around me, where people are, where spawns are, right? Like things I never thought about before. Like just didn't care about dying before. But yeah, I mean it's very cool. I really do enjoy it.
Yeah, I've been having a good time.
And I
Uh,
didn't think I would.
To go back, like way back in the conversation, to Bob's original point of like you used to say it's cool to watch, but I wouldn't want to play that or
Yeah,
enjoy playing that.
so fucking wrong.
I think a lot of people are in the same boat. A lot of people say I don't like leveling, so I wouldn't enjoy
And I
hardcore.
don't like leveling. I
Neither do
like
I.
the end game. I like questing. Like,
Uh-huh.
you know, I like questing in TBC, right? Where there's a hub and I get to do a bunch of stuff and I get to turn it all in at once. I'm like, ah, yeah. But and I have a flying mount and I'm going everywhere fast and I'm like feeling a lot of achievement, but I've never enjoyed the leveling process in vanilla WoW.
Okay.
And now
But can I
I'm
say
having
something?
a fucking blast. Like it's nuts.
So I think the reason though is because you're a completionist, right? Like you like to get to the end goal and you like to feel that reinforcement. And I think you like raiding or PvP at the end because it's challenging, right? Questing isn't necessarily challenging unless you can't die, right? So
Yeah, that's a good
questing
point.
all of a sudden becomes its own challenge and leveling becomes its own challenge because every level you get, you feel more accomplished, right? Whereas in classic WoW without hardcore, you don't feel accomplished for getting level 19 like you did something amazing, right? Like you're just like, okay, I'm this much closer and I have so many levels to go. Great. Right? But now it's like every level you get, you're like, all right, I still did it. I'm still alive. Like and you feel more accomplished. And I think that's the motivation for some of us is that challenge, right? And it
On
makes
top
it
of the challenge too, there's also the fact that you have to, like Bob said, utilize vendors. You have to utilize so many little things in the game that you did maybe the first time you played. Like this reminds me of how I played when I was a child first playing World of Warcraft. I would look at the vendors, see what they have. Oh, where can I even get bags from? Like you have to get rid of the min-maxing because you can't. You don't say, "Oh, I'll hit 60 and then I'll level my tailoring up. I'll do it in a couple of hours." That's not a thing. You're trying to make yourself gear, which back in the day, like when, on my first hunter, I was like, I need to be a skinning leather worker so I could make myself gear. Like all these
Yeah.
things, how I wanted to play the game when I was a kid, I have
well,
to play the game that way
and I
now.
mean we'll leave a quest before we're done with it to go sell because you don't want to just delete things out of your bags anymore,
Mhm.
right? You're
The,
like,
the
that is
silver.
30 copper. I'm gonna need that 30 copper.
There's something I say a lot, and it's because I'm an end game player. I raid in TBC. I raided all of Classic. I'm not that big into arenas, just because I don't have a solid partner for arenas. If I did, I would love it. Um, and I hate leveling, right? So the hardcore challenge sounds like it'd be the worst thing in the world. But I always tell people when they're interested or if they think they wouldn't like it, make a character, just try it once because it's a mindset thing. The end game with hardcore WoW starts at level 1, right?
Right.
It and I think Mel hit it, nail on the head. Like the exact, you get that rewarding factor every time you level, but you don't even. There's so many times when I'm playing hardcore, I forget what level I am because I'm
Right.
so focused on like, okay, well, I need 75 copper for an executioner sword off of Antonio Pirelli at level 19, and like, how am I gonna do this and this and this, and it's you are playing the end game for the entire leveling process,
Yeah.
which is so cool.
Well, and
Yeah.
you talked about the guide. Like I put that guide on for like 10 minutes and then I took it back off and went back to Questy. Like, because I'm probably doing things completely wrong. Like I'm doing all the starting areas. Like I've just got my rogue over to Dark Shore because everything is like up to my level now and yellow over on the other continent. So I was like, well, there's a whole bunch of level 17 quests that I could go knock out over here. So I went over there, and then I'm like, oh, there's different fish here, different recipes, and I'm like, oh man, that's okay. I gotta get that now. And it's just like there's
My
so much
favorite
about the
was
game I didn't know that
my favorite
is
was
really
Bob
cool.
today. Bob today was like, is there like different cooking recipes from different vendors? And I was like, oh my god, Bob. Like that's
I meant
pretty
on the
like
other continent because there's totally different
Of course.
fish.
Yeah,
There's totally
you'll
different
learn.
food.
You'll
Yeah,
learn
I just
more
thought the
about
starting
WoW.
areas were like the same fish, but nope.
oh,
No, you'll learn more about World of Warcraft, period, like as a game, in 30 days of playing hardcore than you would in 20 years of playing WoW. And I'm a firm believer that, like, dude, there's vendors that you don't know exist right now in the game that you've never been to.
And they sell
that have
greens and
things.
stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
they have amazing items on them.
yeah.
Did you know that
my
there's an
favorite is
engineering
Bob.
vendor in the wetlands, in the middle of the wetlands?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I have stopped at him today on my way through the
Very
through the
Wetlands
wetlands.
is my favorite
Okay,
zone.
so-
And
I've ever
just
seen.
for
Oh, okay.
anybody
For
who's
Sin-
listening, you can get through the wetlands pretty easy. Like I was all scared.
just
I was
play a
level
rogue.
I was level 19, but literally you could get through there at level 15 or
problem-
6 or 16
what you're
easy,
saying,
I think.
14 is the best level to go to Darkshore. If you're playing a normal character, I freaking love Darkshore. All the quests are easy. Go kill 10 furbolgs. Go kill 20 bears. It's like the life is so good over in Darkshore to like catch up levels once Westfall runs out. The problem is I am a little baby. I do not want to go
There is a
over
way
there.
to do it, guaranteeing safety.
Yeah.
If you
Wow,
go- if
The
you go to
no
YouTube-
death skip. my
Yeah.
chat told me about this, but I was like, eh.
give me a quick rundown.
Go to YouTube,
Wait.
look up Zero to Death or the Deathless Wetland Skip from Tommy Salami. Basically, you jump from the Loch Madon and you run above the mountains through the Ironforge Airport, like the out of zone, out of bounds game, and you fall down right in front of Menethil. The only danger is like you have to swim across to Menethil, and it's like a 20-second swim, and
Wow.
there's a alligator or a crocodile that
Yeah.
you can avoid. Right, you just
And-
wait for it to
and
pad away, you swim
they're pretty
across, and you're good.
yeah.
See, I
You can
used
do it with
the
one.
I used the death skip in Dun Moreau on every character to just like
Doesn't quite work
you
here.
jump off, you die, you res at the graveyard in Menethil, but yeah, you can't use that here.
Well, now there's logout skips. I don't know if you've seen any of the logout skip debauchery that people have come up with.
Oh no.
I think
Well, that
think we
doesn't
need to
seem
abandon
fair.
them. It's hilarious because it accidentally gets people killed all the time. Because when you log out, the idea of the skip is that you log out above ground, but terrain has to be above your character. So you have to jump up on an object and like slightly fall off of it, but there has to be runnable terrain above your character. When you log out, it will port you to the nearest battleground instance portal, graveyard, or like, yeah, I think that's the 3, right? So you can do it in Ironforge by jumping on the anvil in Ironforge and logging out. You log back in and you're at the Deep Rim Tram. You can
Wow.
do it in the Fargo Deep Mine. You can log out inside the mine after killing Goldtooth, and it will port you to Goldshire Graveyard because that's the closest, of the 3. If you're in Redridge, though, and you log out to try and get back to town, it'll send you to the Badlands.
Ooh.
So there's a few people that have tried it and they ended up in the graveyard in the Badlands pulling a level 45, Panther
Is that
or
not
whatever
frowned
those are.
upon though? Like that's like
I
a
hate it.
So
like a
I,
cheat?
I hate it. I think it's speedrunning techniques, and speedrunning is like
Yeah.
anti-hardcore in my opinion.
my personal opinion, and the reason I didn't even bother to look up how to get the wetlands if there was a safe way, I just want to do it. I just want to
Yeah.
do it myself, and I feel like looking up tips and tricks, which is I don't denounce anyone for doing it, but me personally, I feel like more satisfied in the unknown.
I've been
I wanna
trying
challenge
that
just wanna
too.
min-max
I've been
it.
trying
I don't
not to
wanna
look up
min-max
as
anymore.
much as I can, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I could just ask guards to tell me where stuff is." And I just kind of just stopped doing that over the years because I'm like Google, but I do think I kind of need to move us on. I'm curious though.
But what did Winky do this week?
Yeah, well,
I can
is
give
it
you
better?
the TLDR really fast.
Well, but
Yeah.
is it better to talk about it in the prep? Because that's what you've been doing all week, right?
Sure, yeah.
Like
If
at
you
the
want,
end.
yeah, we can move on. Yeah, that sounds fine.
I mean, give them a taste of what they're in for.
The super TLDR is I hit 60 in the second week because I have a full-time job. You know, I'm not Tyrannosaur fast, but we did our best. And we've just been grinding dungeons, basically getting pre-bis
All right, cool. Well,
on my Warlock.
yeah, we're going to talk about that at the end of the show in the discussion. But this actually went way longer than I thought, so we'll have to kind of push through the news pretty quick. But if you want to give a little raid progress, this was our last raid. Yeah.
Last pre-nerf raid. Wow. We did pretty good. We roll with warriors now. Big fan of having warriors in the raid. Nothing too crazy. We had a single wipe in SSC. We wiped on Fathom Lord, and I'm gonna be honest, I don't remember how. Oh, bad pull. We had a bad pull, and like the paladin, the paladin tank got globaled by a really unfortunate series of attacks on pull, and we ended up just wiping it up there, and then we pushed through. And it was our first week where we didn't wipe on Vashj at all, which was really nice. And it was a horrible Vashj. So that's like the beauty of it is I think we had 2 extra cores. Normally we just do it in 4, but normally we also like wipe the first time because everyone's like asleep and has to remember the fight a little bit. But we missed a core, and then we kept it an extra core because we like the timing wasn't good, and we still were totally fine. Like I feel like we have mastery over it now. Then we go to TK on Thursday. I feel the same way there. Everything there is pretty good. We keep trying to force the paladin to start tanking on Void Reaver, but I think that it would probably be better if I just take it for all the time because I keep dying. Every time I rip, I just die because I wear a very aggressive set. I'd rather just kind of start and get the pre heals. But
Has your guild started making fun of you when you die because of hardcore?
no.
Oh, every time I die
We make fun of
in
Bob.
SSC, I'll wipe in SSC, and then the whole guild chat, F, our fallen brother Winky has died at level 70, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, you guys, come on.
See, Yip's like the guy everybody in the guild likes. I'm like the guy that everybody's like, yeah, die, Bob.
No, it's not
That's 'cause you're a
in a
Warlock
friendly
player.
way, though.
Oh, yes.
It's because you AoE too early, I'm sure, right? It's all about the seed.
Actually, no, that's our friend Harry Dodders that does that usually. He's usually the one that, hits the floor. I'm actually late on it, so I'm usually the lower seed damage because I'm a wimp.
I wait until I'm the 4th warlock to seed every pull because I don't want to die. I eat my raid consumes on trash, right? I'm one of those people.
I do too.
I don't want to lose my food.
Yep.
Come on.
If I die on trash, I instantly fully consume back up rather than waiting till the next boss.
All of our raids should fully consume back up.
Yeah, all of our consumes are free. Yes.
Yeah, all of our consumes are free. So all of
I have paid for every bit of food that I have used for the last month because no spell power food is in there.
How much spell power food? How much spell power do you get from food, Bob?
Like 20 something. 23?
20 something. Now, let me ask, do you think you're gaining more DPS on trash because you have slightly more spell power, or by waiting like 10 globals to start attacking?
Because I wait, that 23 is better.
No, it's not. Waiting.
Oh, I see your point.
You're doing way less damage overall.
So you're saying don't consume it all and just go hard and fast. Okay, that's actually a really good call I never thought about.
Don't eat the food and just pump.
I'm doing that next time. I'm gonna go freaking wild now that you said that.
Yip just convinced me to do that too.
Wow, yeah, it'll just make it more fun.
I'll flask and then I'll pump.
Yeah, dude. And then I will consume up at the next boss dude. Yep, you just changed my life.
For the horrible recap of how this went with Bob pumping.
It's about to go really. Listen, you still can't pull. Please don't pull.
When my raid lead's mad at me because I'm waiting 1 global and seeding, I'll tell him to come talk to you guys.
Yeah, be like, I don't know. I heard that I should do more DPS this way.
If I don't have a buff,
I view everything ever since my favorite part of the game was getting Nax to one night. Everything I look at, I really enjoy optimizing like overall raid damage. And waiting globals doesn't do that.
Yeah.
We've got a paladin who's geared now. Put him to the test.
Well,
Get him mad. Get him heated at you.
and you're right. Like, really, the only consume that I'm
Yeah, the healers are
re-upping
gonna love
is the
this.
food. Like, now that I'm thinking about it, like, yeah, I pulled my pet back out. I guess I'd use more shards, but who cares? But really, it's just the food. Oh my
How many
gosh, man,
paladins
mind
do you
blown.
have? Like
We
prop
have
pallies.
we have one prop paladin.
So do we. And our Tidewalker this week, we wiped 3 times because every single water shield or whatever that thing's called, the ability where it sucks them up.
Watery grave or whatever.
Dude, they graved our tank, our paladin tank for the Murlocs.
Yep.
They graved him every single
we have had
time.
that
We've had
a
those
lot
nights.
before where Morgrim is like a little RNG, especially if we're running like 5 healers. Sometimes they'll just all healers get watery grave, and it's like, okay, this is great. The paladin often is getting watery grave. I mean, he can
It's-
bubble
it-
1, but that's pretty much all you can do.
If you
and
have
after
high
that, you're
threat,
screwed.
like on any mobs, if you have high threat, they shouldn't grave you. It should just be like part of the mechanics of the fight,
Right.
in my opinion.
Yeah, none of it will
Because
matter.
it's so RNG.
Yeah, now with the nerfs, right? None of
we'll
it will
talk about
matter
soon,
anymore.
Yeah, it won't matter as much anymore.
I died a
Um,
fairly frequent amount during these raids this week.
We had a lot of deaths this week, but we don't need to talk about that because everything went perfect. We don't need to talk about
yeah.
in Tempest Keep how every pull 2 or 3 people died. We'll just talk about how great the bosses went. We go to Solarian, and for the first time, Solarian only splits once. I've been waiting all this time for us to only get one Solarian split. And now, I don't want to say that Yip has designed a physical forward group of the raid, but we have done that. We are now more physical forward, and everything's going quite a bit faster recently.
Hmm.
Warlocks, sit down now.
Correlation,
Listen.
causation, who knows?
But things have been going good. We destroyed Solarian, and then we had the most interesting Kael'thas of all time in my mind. We have struggled with Kael'thas a bit. We've only killed him a handful of times. I think, honestly, 3 times. Last week was our 3rd time. But, I mean, the holidays and stuff have kind of messed that up. But our first attempt goes horribly because when the weapons come out, our paladin just dies. And I know I say this a lot. 7 seconds without a direct heal on our paladin on the weapon phase.
That's pretty yikes.
That's pretty.
That's pretty. That's
It's
pretty
pretty
bad.
yikes, Mel.
Can I just point out that I am not his
Mel's
assigned
job.
healer?
It's not Mel's
Okay,
job. I know.
You
He can't
got
answer
you
that.
got healed.
I did get healed. So I was fine.
Okay, but
I was
also,
laughing.
no, I need to caveat this because you can't just throw jabs at the healers and not
It's not a
expect me
jab.
to
It's
defend.
the honest truth, Mel. It's not.
Okay.
It's not a
It
hit
is.
piece.
It
It's
might
not
be
a
the
jab.
honest truth, but here's some factors. Okay, the little things spawn. Wait, we're in the weapon phase.
Yeah, the weapons.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Yeah, 7 seconds without a heal, yet the staff is just raining hell on the entire raid in the middle, right? So you got healers running
Listen,
over here
of
and healers
of
running over
course
here.
things didn't go well. You would have
No,
healed him if
the
people were
staff-
chilling out.
The
I
staff
understand.
being in the middle of the group, that is not just those aren't going well. Like that's a concern.
Let the
Well,
DPS die. There's your answer. Boom. You just
Yeah,
heal
but
the
if the
tank.
staff's
Yeah.
hitting healers, because it's always hitting healers, because it's always
You got a
aggroed onto a
Hellstone.
healer.
Yeah,
I'm
you got a
not-
Hellstone, health pot.
I'm not
Yeah,
gonna get
but
into
that
the
doesn't let us
semantics.
heal.
I don't want to get into the semantics of what people could have done better to resolve it. All I'm gonna say is that there are absolutely things that can be done.
Well,
And
I'm
whoever
gonna
has
say
aggro,
that if the
we
staff
have
hadn't gone into the
struggle-
healers, that maybe he would have gotten healed within that 7 seconds.
we struggle with raid sometimes. We struggle with ranged and healers maybe not knowing fights well enough. Because anyone who
No!
has aggro can move that staff. You can CS that staff. Any mage, any DPS with a counter spell or with a kick can kick the staff and bring it over. There's a lot of things you can do other than just like it's over since the
Okay,
went
do
off.
you know that
As
if
a
the
tank-
staff comes on to me and I start to run towards prosecutor, I am dead.
Sure, but you can run it out of the group. You're saying it's like exploding on everybody. You can run it out of the group. Like there's no reason to be stacked on that phase.
Yeah, but do you see that the healers? So, like, this is the problem: is that the staff comes into the group and attaches to one healer, right? Maybe it attaches to me and I fade, and then it attaches to another healer. So it's just like ping
Right,
pong.
what I'm saying, but I'm suggesting that maybe fade isn't the option there then, because maybe it's pull it out of
Well, I
the.
don't want to
And
die.
I don't want to criticize anyone hardcore, but as a tank, my only job is when things go wrong to then make them go right again. So
Yeah,
I don't often feel a lot of sympathy when like other people. I'm not blaming you. It sounds like I'm blaming Mel a lot right now. I'm not. I just mean in general, anyone in the raid could have helped resolve that to go better. That's all
fair.
I'm saying. Is that
Yes,
if sometimes
yes.
things go
We
wrong,
did not deal with that adversity very well.
which we can turn this all around because
Yes.
after we wipe there, we pull off the craziest KT kill of all time because literally everything went wrong and we still got the kill on the second pull. So I think even in the first phase of Casperian being up, she pulls going who knows where, just running away, going wherever, conflagging people. Somehow our warlock is able to get aggro back, runs away to the far side, and brings her exactly back to where we normally kill her,
Right?
No,
which is
no, you're thinking
incredible.
about okay. So the first phase that
That was
happened
the
on the
first attempt.
the
Okay, that
first
happened on the first
attempt.
attempt.
It
Great,
didn't
who
happen
cares?
on the second, but
Bob, I'm
worse
making an
happened on
interesting
the
story,
second.
Bob. Can we talk about my interest? I'm making an interesting story. Why are you trying to correct the story to be less interesting? I,
Hey, because
no one's
I
gonna look at the
streamed
logs and
it,
prove me
and
wrong. Oh
well,
yeah, they're
I
gonna see
streamed
that I'm
it. They can
lying.
check it, you know.
None of that matters because the first phase is easy. That does happen though when all of them come up. Casperian bolts to the middle of the raid. She is in the middle of the room.
Right next to
Our
the other
warlock
two mobs that are right there being tanked.
Thaladred gets like pulled over into the middle too, kicking melee all over the place. We're like, okay, well, this is a clear wipe.
Yeah,
Somehow,
I'm like on stream. I'm like, well, I'm gonna keep trying, but this is a wipe. So
e- everybody does take agency because they know how the fight works. They take agency, move away from Casperian so they're not getting
we
conflict.
had to
We're all
literally
like
walk.
huddled against the
Yeah,
like
yeah.
the edge of the wall.
Like us that were on the other side had to walk around the room to get to those other two mobs, while the warlock kited it back to the other side because like some of us were standing on this on the we couldn't just walk through. Is basically what I'm saying.
Yeah.
While
So
getting epic heals.
So we're way behind, right? Like obviously stuff is going to be alive when we go into the next phase. It's tight. Casperian's at like 20% almost as we're like 10 seconds from going to the next phase. Sanguinar is still up, who our paladin is tanking, who then has to pick up the phoenixes that are about to come out. I was like, this is great. Like we're this is going wonderfully. We recover from Casperian, but everything else is so bad that like there's no way. But we keep it together. Everyone does the phoenixes really well. We're able to just like hold KT for a while we kill Telonicus, and then we get the first egg down. We switch, and our DPS is really strong. We had almost no deaths up to that point. I think so. That was really incredible. I mean, we normally do
Or the
not
heal.
react well to when things go wrong, like I was saying, but for some reason, just everybody was on top of their game. I think no one wanted to do another KT. Once
That's where
things
I
went
was at.
wrong, everyone was like,
Yeah.
I don't want to pull this idiot again. Let's just
I had been streaming hardcore for 10 hours prior to the raid. And I was like, I just want this to be the last attempt. I want to be done. I want to go watch my show on Netflix. I just want to be done. It's like
and
Can we
then
just talk about the fact that when somebody doesn't get heals, that we hear about it, but when everybody gets heals, nobody mentions
he
that it was great
literally
heals?
just said
So-
that. Well, he
No,
didn't
I
say it
said it.
outright, but he said like nobody died, which is a
that's because I
testament to
expect you
you.
guys to be good.
Mel, when
I think
people
you guys
when
are incredible
people
players.
when people drive around the city and there's no car accidents, it's not on the news. But
It's
when
true.
It
someone
should
gets
be.
into an
'Kay.
accident, it's on the
Well,
news.
that's what I mean. That's
I
what I
love
mean.
it.
Like that's why I feel bad because I absolutely blame the healers a lot, but it's always out of like normally I don't die here, so like what happened here? And there usually is another cause, right? Like on Leo, it'll be all the melee just eating all the whirlwind. So the healers are like, "Oh crap, like we got to heal all these other DPS who are taking." It's never like directly the healers just weren't pushing buttons. It's just like there's all these other compounding factors. But at the end of the day, you know, it's like there's a place where the buck stops,
I
And
feel like we're like the kickers in football, right? Like you
yeah,
make a field goal and it's like, yeah, you're supposed to make the field goal. You miss a field goal and it's like you're the worst person in the world. I can't believe you.
I
It
don't want to
sounds
go on
like
a
you just
huge
need
tangent.
more warlocks.
We clearly need more warlocks. That's
Just
not to go on a
replace
huge
all the
tangent.
melee with murlocs or
I
warlocks.
I feel this way about green lights and yellow lights. If you make a green light, neutral. You make a yellow light, you feel awesome about it. Like, woo, I just got through the light while you're driving, and like I just saved myself time. But a green light, you don't care at all. Anyway, we kill KT. That's the moral of the story.
That was
It
a good
actually
one,
kept going
actually.
worse. It actually kept going worse because I didn't have the staff buff. Because all of our ranged are super afraid of Kate. Actually, it's normally I pull him closer to the ranged. Actually, it was actually my fault.
Well, it
I think.
wasn't my fault either because I follow our pally around and
True.
lose DPS to go
So we
stay
just need
with
something like that
him.
for me. We need something like that for me, maybe not anymore though. Once we talk about the nerfs, but anyway, I get disoriented in the fifth phase, and KT just runs around murdering half the raid. We probably have 7 or 8 people dead at this point on the easiest phase, and I'm like, great. Okay, here we go. Like we're gonna wipe on the easy phase now that we got through all the crazy stuff. No, we just do it. It's fine. We kill it with down like 8 people for
Yeah,
almost the
at that
entire
point, when everybody was down and it was like 13%, I was like, all right, Curse of Rex done. I'm switching to Agony. I'm switching to Agony. Like, if I die, at least the Agony will still be on there. I'm just putting all the dots I can while I'm doing the DPS, too, because I was like a sliver from dying.
Of course.
Well, all the melee
I
were
hate
dead.
Warlock. Nah, I'm just.
Okay,
Do you ever-
in my defense, on the first attempt that we wiped, I got aggro on a little whatever those birds are
Phoenix?
called. Yeah, stupid birds. And so I have to run away, right? Like whatever. And I did it right the first time on the time we wiped. And then the second time, like shit was hitting the fan, right? And I'm like just hardcore focused on my rage frames. And this phoenix comes to me and is just like annihilates me in half a second, right? And then I think we were gonna res me. I don't think I've ever been alive. Oh no. The last week I was alive at the end of TK. That is the only time I've ever been alive at the end of TK.
I'm the person who dies intentionally in phase 1 and then gets up and walks away and doesn't accept the battle res and just takes the loot and leaves.
No. We
No.
My raid team
our
hates me.
melee handled that part pretty well in phase 1. We don't need any of our warlocks getting involved with that nonsense. But our raids went well. Super happy with how everything went for our last kind of pre-nerf. We also had like a boomkin trial and stuff. We have a lot of new phases kind of. So everything's going well, and I think we're probably going to be going into Black Temple like at our strongest for the.
We did
expansion so far.
just give a shout out to the the Boomkin trial. He did a pretty good job, and he was in my party, so my party was talking a lot, and he was like, "I'm just happy to not be the top 3 DPS on every fight."
Yeah,
and I was like, "Dude, you came from a rough guild."
I don't know. I don't. Listen, he's still on trial, so I don't want to talk about him too much or anything. But we definitely picked up like a rescue puppy almost from another guild. His other guild was transferring off our server. Like I said, our server is falling
Like everyone else.
And he I was talking to him, and his logs are like, they're okay. His kill times were god awful, and apparently like they pug people, like they get like 6 submerges on lure. It's like this unbelievable. All of these kills, he's number 1 DPS or 3rd DPS on all these fights. The hunters are on the bottom, their warlocks are on the bottom, and I was like,
it gives you appreciation.
This poor guy just needs to see like what can happen in a guild. It's like
it's also
almost
an ego booster too for the rest of the guild. Like we picked up someone new in our guild right when the phase started, and we had cleared TK and we were working on Vashj, and like we took him into our first TK the next week, and we had a bad run. Like we wiped a couple times, and we eventually got TK down. It was easy money from then on out, and we were like, dude, like we have this curse where our guild performs really poorly whenever we have a trial. Like,
yes.
it's like this thing, right? And then their response was like, no, this is amazing. Like, I can't believe we're doing so well. And then we were like, okay, cool. That's actually pretty nice.
Yeah, I know. It feels
Right?
good. Like,
Like,
we were dying a lot on trash before Alar. Like, people were just dying every pull. And like, as
Oh,
a
yeah.
tank, it's frustrating, right? It's just like this is frustrating. And then he's just like, I'm so glad to be somewhere where people just are like down to pump. And I'm like, okay, I like this guy. Like,
does he does he have the jewel crafting the neck piece that everyone's all crazy about these days?
You
I
know
think we're
what?
gonna make him wear it. We're gonna make him wear it. I don't think we gave it
Yeah,
to him that
our
time. He said he
chamois
wouldn't.
does.
Yeah, we should have two, but we basically told him in our vetting, we're like, listen, you're not gonna get a Shadow Priest. You're gonna be buffing the Warlocks, and we're gonna need you to wear that necklace sometimes. And he's like, all right. It's like,
Yeah,
okay,
we rotate it in our guild, but our guild's like like a sweaty boomer guild. It's the easiest way.
That's
to
literally
describe
what
it.
I mean. We've been basically described as sweaty casuals. Like it,
Mhm.
like we did get 10 of 10, but it did take us a lot longer than most guilds.
we have a
Well,
lot of actual
not
dads.
most
Like,
And
guilds.
occasionally,
Yeah.
dads have to go AFK for their child screaming.
yeah, like
Or crying.
Which
we were
literally
6 healing.
happened on
Yeah,
Thursday.
we were 6 healing last night, but we went down to 5 heals because of baby aggro. Like, it's just a thing that exists in guilds now. I don't think you can
10
get around
minutes
it.
slash 2
But
hour baby aggro.
the nice thing is though, it's like all of the dads are good players. That's like an important
Yeah.
part, is that they're like previously the most insane WoW players you would know. They just have a family now.
Right.
So it's
Well,
like it's
and
handy.
also older because like I was playing in the top 1%, back in the original game, and now, yeah, I've got like I don't have any 99 parses. I've got like mostly 96s and like basically everything 90 except for no, actually Kael'thas is my only non 90 plus parse now, as I actually fixed the stupid girl that I haven't been able to figure out. I actually got a 91 parse on her in TK last night. So
Valerian?
Nice.
yeah. And my highest prior was 80 for like I just couldn't
Yeah.
figure it out.
I
But
don't even know what mine are.
I don't want to tell you that it's not just figuring it out. I have a feeling that the fact that we normally get 2 splits is kind of like it's an uphill battle. Because there's a trend of people who parse well all play together. So like it's hard to hit 99s as DPS. Like for me, I have it kind of easy. I just have to hit my buttons
well,
correctly,
but
and I get 99s as the thing.
we do
But, like,
have a god tier lock in FJ who has
Yeah.
mostly 98 and 99 parses, although now half of his parses show up as Affy, so I don't know if he had Destro prior to that because I just like
you can look at what his specifically for Destro.
God,
and
well,
stuff, right?
either way, he's like a god. Like it's
it's
nuts.
very-
Guys,
very
I
strong
just don't
player.
get it. I hate parses.
I hate
You're a
them
healer,
too. I was
Mel.
just gonna bring that up, Mel. I hate parsing because it's. I get in arguments all the time. I say parsing is its own skill. Being a good parser and being a good raider are two different skill sets.
Definitely.
And yeah, they cross over
Yes.
and they correlate really well. But like for
Exactly.
instance, my average parse is a 97 in TK, but in SSC, I can't get a high average parse because I don't selfishly seed the Murlocs on Tidewalker too
Exactly.
quickly,
Those-
right? And then like wipe the raid.
Or like seed at the end when you should just be burning the boss when the
Yeah.
bubbles are coming. And then, just like I was talking to Yip, like I'm on the staff buff duty for our paladin, so I could get a much better KT parse if I was just standing there pumping, but I have to watch for him and I have to move quite often. So that move is one whole, shadow bolt that I don't get off, but that's part of being a team player, right?
Mhm.
I mean, as rank 55 all-star for phase 2 Growl Mag, I think I can chime in here about parse.
You have
Nah,
an
I mean, I'm
average
just saying-
parse of 99, don't you, on Gruul?
Yeah, I have a 90. Yeah. I am rank 55 for Growl Mag now. So, but
flex.
that does not matter. It is later phase. But my point was like you can tell when you look at my parses. Like I parse, but responsibly. I have 99s on all the fights that I know I won't wipe the raid on, and then everything else I've got like 97 on because I'm wearing my mitt gear, and I'm like, I will not let me be the cause of a wipe on Morgrim. There are so many other things that can go wrong. I do not want to be the reason. I don't want people looking at my gear and being like, oh, Yip was wearing that gear. Of course.
Yeah,
That's
because
the
you're going
worst
through
feeling.
through PTSD of executive and everybody
Well,
being like,
we
"Do
had
you know what he
we had a tank
wore?"
like that. Yeah, we had a tank like that, and it's like, you don't wanna be an enemy to your
Well,
guild.
it's kind of sad to say it, but like I was an officer all through Classic, and I stepped down for TBC because I just didn't want to deal with it anymore. But I used to look at people that would apply for the guild, and they had the royal flesh, 99s, all that, all the way down on all their logs, and it would give me more hesitation as if someone with like 70s and 80s applied, because I could look at that player and be like, okay, well, they're not in a speedrunning guild. So the only other way they can have these parses is if they're selfish with loot and incredibly selfish when it comes to respecting the rest of the raid and like not min-maxing their personal parse to wipe the raid, but hey, I got a 99, so it's all good.
And
Seeing
on top
90s
of
is
that,
much better than seeing 99.
well,
Yeah.
on top of that, when you see that type of player, unfortunately, not all the time, like we're like the current crew we have now, like our god tier lock, like he's not like that. But many people that are like that feel entitled. And that's why oftentimes they're looking for another guild because they're like, well, I should have everything fed to me because I am the best, And it's like, yeah, you're the best on paper, but
I really
it's
should
a
have everything
really
fed to me.
like
Yeah,
You're right.
congratulations,
they
you had to get
they can be
bopped and
toxic.
lip, and like
Yeah,
yeah,
it's just it's a real
it's just
slippery
rough.
slope there, but I don't know. We do have to move on though to the news. So now we have a lot of burning we have a lot of burning crusade news. First up, Black Temple and Mount Hyjal are available for testing on the PTR, but it's been taken down, I guess, now. But it popped up, didn't really get a thing from Blizzard. It just kind of went down and popped back up, and Mount Hyjal PTR is available. Did any of you guys do it? I didn't do it.
We didn't have a lot of time. I'm hoping it comes back up next week, and we're gonna try to get our guild in there doing some, but I don't like going in like by myself and trying to find a group to tank for.
Same. But yeah, that was up. People did run it. I think Sarth and Crix and Metagoblin and a few other people were able to take Black Temple and Illidan down. So I'm hoping they do what we asked and don't leave it up for 6 weeks like they did TBC.
Yeah, I'm really glad they already dropped it down, and I think they took it down to make adjustments because the people that were doing it were saying it felt too easy.
Yeah.
So hopefully they make it more difficult. I'm not sure, to be honest, but it seems
Yeah,
that.
I think that would be a lot better for this tier. The fact that Vashj and KT were very hard for a lot of guilds and also contain some of the best gear that people need. Black Temple and Hyjal have more gear spread out. I think people will be more okay not having everything cleared as much. So it's like better to keep it hard then. Like if people can still get their gear and gear up, it's better to keep it hard. You don't want to go into Black Temple and Mount Hyjal and be like, "Whoa, Vashj was harder than this."
And
I agree. I think people that do though are gonna the guilds that are struggling to kill Vashj right now will probably get the upgrades they need to go back and kill Vashj from Black Temple and Hyjal, which is really good. So it's kind of like a balance, right? You need it to be difficult enough to appeal to the people that have been 10 of 10 since the first week, but you also need to appeal to the people that still aren't 10 of 10.
Which is perfect because I'm going to jump ahead here.
I was
And
about to just say that.
I'll do Bob's spiel. Blizzard listened to the podcast in their Monday morning meeting, and they heard us talking about how Lady Vashj should be accessible, starting in Black Temple and Hyjal without killing all
And
the others.
KT too.
KT is too, but I think we only talked about Vashj on the podcast. But we were saying that it's crazy to keep that locked because the amount of raid hours you would need in order to get these bosses down is just way too insane for any guild to do it. So it does seem. I don't think there's any Blizzard confirmation.
There is
But
there is not,
there
but
is
on the
now. Oh, there's not. Yeah.
yeah, there's not, but on the PTR, they they so even on top of that, so on the PTR, rogues have went in, and I got this information from Sarth, so I haven't
So you know it's
confirmed
wrong.
it, but
If you got it from Sark, it's wrong, guaranteed.
well, supposedly rogues have went into the PTR in both TK and SSC and found that there are nerfs across the board, which is what Yip thought was going to happen. Like
I knew
trash
it.
is nerfed, like everything's nerfed as far as health and everything else goes.
I have an
Yeah.
image for you.
Yeah, we
Ah,
were looking at
yep.
this too. The numbers are absolutely insane, but my Nostradamus came out because I knew it made no sense for the only nerfs to be coming out to be the ones that they had proposed earlier. It made sense for like, oh my god, everyone's 8 of 10. We need to make this easier for people. But as the finalized nerfs, there was so many things that were easy. I think that there's even more than this. Did anyone go through and do any of these bosses, or is it just these are numbers that they looked at from?
These are numbers that like basically rogues stealth through and just
So
looked at health.
I personally believe that a lot of these bosses have mechanical changes as well too. Because like in patch 2.1, Lady Vashj could no longer mind control people. So I think that we're going to be getting like a lot of serious changes to
Well,
these bosses
and
that are going to make them way easier.
what we don't know, what they've confirmed is going live on the Tuesday, is that the 3 nerfs to the 3 bosses are going
No,
through.
all of
These
the nerfs are.
well, but these like they haven't. But Blizzard hasn't talked about the nerfs that the
They have.
rogues found.
Well, they kind of have in the fact
Okay,
that
but
they said
it says
they said the
persuasion no longer
final.
provides crowd control immunity for Lady Vashj, is
Okay,
what Blizzard
you're looking at the
reported.
old. You're looking at the old stuff.
Oh.
Their current statement is we are implementing the finalized nerfs to these raids.
Okay,
on
so
the
it
14th.
so that it
They
probably
didn't say
is
we're
what's on.
implementing.
I was
Yeah.
just curious if when when we went live with phase 3, if that's when all of these nerfs would
No,
come in.
they specifically said on December 14th the finalized nerfs for these raids are coming out, which is I think all of these nerfs are coming out on Tuesday, and everything's gonna be like we're basically gonna be on maintenance mode. Like everything's gonna be easy. It's time to prepare for Black Temple. The people who couldn't kill Vashj at all or KT, they're gonna be able to do it. I think very easily now. That's what I think is gonna happen. We only have the health pools coming from PTR, but those health pool drops are absolutely insane. I mean, some of these we knew about from bosses, but even trash is going to be incredibly simpler and easier. Maybe you can wait 2 GCDs because then they're going to die 2 GCDs later.
Do you think being able to go straight to Vashj and KT will be in on Tuesday?
No.
Okay, I was just curious.
I don't think so. I think that would be a phase thing, but the fact that they said finalized nerfs to me makes it seem like okay, there's obviously going to be more coming that we don't know about. And maybe they don't want to tell us until Tuesday so that they can't change their minds over the weekend because they're good at that. But I'm hoping next week everything will just sort of be easy and everyone can kind of go into preparing for phase 3 time.
Yeah, I'm okay with the nerfs. You know, I welcome them as a hardcore player that raids. You know, I raid log TBC.
Yeah.
You know, spending an extra hour in raid every night is not as desirable right now. So for me, anyway, I like the nerfs. Get us in, get us out, get us into Black Temple, feeling good, and then let that be the challenge, right?
Yeah, and no one can really be mad. Like I hate to say it, I thought that this was a whole thing was a ploy this whole time because they threatened to nerf the bosses early without warning. Everyone gets it in their head, and now it's sort of everyone knows the nerfs are coming. You can't really be mad anymore. You had multiple weeks, almost a full month, I think, of raiding in order to get your 10 of 10 with warning that these nerfs were incoming. So I mean, I feel like it's kind of hard for anyone to be that upset about the nerfs. It's just we're ready to like last night I was super done. We rated this a lot. We've been 10 of 10 for a while. I'm ready to have less time in these raids. TK and SSC, my interest in them is moving on. I too I've been raid logging pretty hard. I still love TBC. I just I don't feel a huge need other than PvP and raid to log in and go do daily quests or something. So
Damn.
I think this is just good.
So yeah, I'm looking at it. There's still a ton. There's still the guilds that are the guilds that are 10 to 10 is 12,392. The guilds that are 9 of 10 are 3,379. Guilds that are 8 of 10 are 4,651, and there's about 5,000 or 6,000 guilds that are 7 or 10 or below. So there's still a lot of guilds that haven't done it.
I mean, I do understand the frustration of if you're so close and then they nerf it, you never actually get to feel that. But at the same time, this is how TBC has always progressed, right? They nerf the previous raids once the next raids come out. So
well, they actually even nerf them before then. For a lot of these changes, we're actually experiencing the hard version much longer than they did in TBC. So they gave us a lot. They gave us more than they had to give us here, I think.
Well, they also gave us the pre-nerfed raids.
Yeah, exactly. These pre-nerfs are they're giving us a hard version to satisfy us. Listen, we're 10 of 10. We've been 10 of 10 for a little while. We don't have a single defender chest in this guild. It's time for everyone to be able to kill all the bosses because I can't even imagine.
We don't have a pattern for the Belt of Blasting
we
still.
Yeah, we don't have a pattern for Belt of
I
Blasting.
mean, I've done 12 or 11 lockouts of TK and SSC, and I don't have a single upgrade from the raids. I have Boots of Blasting, Belts of Blasting because they're crafted.
Yeah.
And that is.
I've got the wand and the sword.
Right. Yeah. I mean, but it shows that we don't need it, as much as we may think we do.
Yeah, and the people struggling now, they do need it. It's time to get the gear.
Yeah.
Time to plan for phase 3. I feel like they gave people plenty of time. They retracted the earlier nerfs to give people the time to hit their 10 and 10. I thought they'd give them a week or two. We ended up getting 3 or 4 extra weeks of no nerfs. It's
just wait for TBC Season of Mastery, and maybe they won't ever nerf.
Well, to be honest, if you're not 10 out of 10 right now, you're doing something fundamentally wrong with the mechanics. I'm not sure how much a health pool decrease by 20% is going to save you.
Yeah.
Because Vashj in specific is a very mechanical fight. And
yeah, I would agree
true.
for the most part. If you are phase 3, though, I think having a lesser health pool is just going to make it easier no matter what, because there's less
getting
time
to phase
pools.
3 though safely.
Yeah, if you can't get to phase 3 safely right now, this is not enough.
Exactly.
That's why,
the hard
though,
part.
I don't think that these are the only nerfs, because there's another important nerf that happens in actual TBC that I think is the single hardest Vashj mechanic, is the toxic spores that come out. As soon as they hit you, they deal damage in TBC right now. So people will sometimes just die because they're not using a weak ore or paying attention. Now, or in TBC, there was no damage. They nerfed it so that damage didn't apply when it got hit. It would land, then tick. So you had plenty of time to move out of it. So I think if there are additional nerfs other than health, which I do believe there will be, I think it's going to be a lot easier, and people will be able to, I think the mechanics will be nerfed so that these guilds will absolutely be 10 of 10.
No more Thornling seeds and target dummies and on Vashj.
Please, no more Thornling seeds. We're a decent guild, and we still Thornling seed because it's just why wouldn't you?
Yeah.
I know, but I only have 3 left, and I really don't want to go back to Dire Mall.
You should not have to.
Well, well, let's hope so. In other news on the patch, they did some changes to the looking for group UI to automatically add you to something. I don't know what to say. I haven't used it. When I look for groups, I still use the LFG channel. So
I could be wrong. Am I crazy? I thought some of that just had to do with making it easier for PTR groups to get made. I didn't realize that was an actual change coming.
Yeah, it is coming to well, it's on the PTR, so maybe it's
on the PTR.
Not, yeah, maybe it's not coming, but
they released very little information with this PTR. That normally there's no grand announcement. There are blue posts about it, but they really are leaving it up to people to see all this stuff.
Yeah. All right. Well, so in the next news, maybe you can like explain this to me. So the text to speech feature has been found in the PTR. Like they don't know if it's an error or not, but what's text to speech even used for?
It's for someone who maybe has trouble seeing, so that when someone types in chat, it'll talk to you.
Oh, you
Yeah.
mean
So instead of having to read, it'll read it back to you. So it's for someone who might be visually impaired, I think.
like really bad? What's it? Farsighted? What's the one where you can't see close?
Well, it
You're
doesn't matter. I mean, just somebody visually impaired or somebody with dyslexia
Yeah,
or
any
somebody with
yeah, or has
any.
trouble reading, or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, there are 100% blind people that raid WoW. I don't know if you
Blind?
have ever seen it. Yes.
Like how?
There's also deaf people that raid WoW.
Yeah,
Wow,
but
yeah,
text
well,
to
this will not
speech-
help.
Deaf, I could
Yeah,
definitely see.
Will not help with that.
I don't want to
Well,
like
it's text to speech. Wouldn't that help a deaf person?
They can't hear, Mel.
Oh,
They can't hear.
21%
You meant
of
speech
American
to text is what you were thinking
yeah,
of.
I thought
Oh,
that.
yeah.
There we go.
Sorry.
Which is no,
Okay.
these are that's a legitimate thing that people need as well too. But 21% of American adults are categorized as low English literacy, and 4% are categorized as functionally illiterate. So there are some people too who just are not good at reading, whether it's a dyslexia or
Yeah.
anything. Some people it's just better for them.
Oh,
to
dyslexia
hear
is
it.
a big one. I didn't even think
Yeah.
about that. Yeah.
Mel said it
Oh,
earlier.
Yip
Don't give me any
mentions
credit.
it. Mel mentioned it
yeah,
earlier.
Mel said it earlier. Don't
Nobody
give me
said
any credit.
anything.
Don't give me credit, but yeah, this is I hope, I mean, any accessibility stuff is obviously a great thing. Increasing accessibility to WoW.
Yeah,
I mean, I
for
don't think
sure.
anyone has issues with that.
Yep. Awesome. Awesome. Well,
And if you haven't yet, you should Google. There's articles about the blind people who play WoW, and it is incredible how they play the game.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
definitely
it's probably based
I
a lot
I
off
will have to
sound.
check that out. That's
Yeah, and
interesting.
it requires the guild coming together, like fundamentally, in such a beautiful way. It's really cool. You should check it out.
Yeah, that's
that
awesome.
sounds awesome.
You know, going back to what Yip said at the start of the podcast, they listened to us at the Blizzard morning meetings, and as of Tuesday the 14th, they will be removing the Serpentshrine Cavern and Tempest Keep attunements to get in. So now you can get those alts in if somebody wants to change classes. If you know you need to fill the raid, like now they don't have to do all that extra stuff. I'm personally kind of happy about it because I want people to be included. I don't really like it, but I'm happy for the change, if that makes sense. How do you guys feel?
I love it. I'm over it. I'm sick of pretending I'm like this hardcore gamer who wants these secret bosses that only I'm allowed to go do because I put in all the effort. I've got an alt druid. I want to bring him into SSC start next god dang week, and I can do it now, and I love it. I love that I don't need to waste my time getting attuned. I love that dad gamers who don't have time to get their alts attuned can now come in as well. I just want to play the game. I don't want people to quit. I'm I say go for it.
I think it's a silent nod to the fact that they recognize TBC is dead outside of raiding and endgame PvP, and nobody's running dungeons anymore, and nobody's getting the rep for the attunements.
Which is true. And on a server like ours,
Do we
on a-
think that hardcore has had any implication on that?
no, our server was
No.
dying before Season of Mastery came out.
No, I'm not saying on the server dying. I'm saying on the amount of time you're engaged in TBC, because I know for me, I was leveling a hunter because I've never leveled a hunter, and I was trying to make money for my other characters. But as soon as I got into hardcore, I have not touched that character since.
The problem is what is required. So you're talking about leveling an alt hunter. That's great. But what we're talking about is getting Shatara rep so that you can go run heroic Arcatraz so that you can then get attuned.
Yeah,
And
no.
that the funnel of people, like there probably are people like doing some low level dungeons depending on your server, but you funnel down how many people want to go do Arcatraz with you so that you can get attuned is becoming like
No
impossible
one.
to find.
You know it would be like kind of an interesting idea is if instead of removing the rep gates for getting attuned, they allowed you to buy reputation with gold as a gold sink.
Or real USD.
Or a real USD. You could spend your hard-earned dollar in dudes.
No, just give it to us free. I mean,
Um,
they're getting
I'm a shill for
Either
the
way, you're probably spending real USD if you're really interested because people are gonna buy gold, right? So, like,
if you don't buy gold right now, I don't know how you're getting it.
we provide so things. I actually realized
I
crunching the
mean, I make a
numbers
lot of
how
gold.
expensive rating is actually very expensive right now. The
it
fact
is
that we
not
have
for me.
the fact that we have everything provided to us for free from the guild
Yeah.
bank is an incredible boon. I don't know
Huge.
if our guilds are, it's like Nax all over again, where people are like, I can't afford these
Well,
consumes. It's like,
I think the problem is the opposite for my server. At least I'm on ATS, and I'm shameless. I'll straight up tell you, raiding every week on my TBC character costs me $4 a week, and I
nice.
think that's the problem. It should cost me $60 a week, but Blizzard will never do anything about the bots, and therefore, why am I going to farm gold? Why am I going to farm Primal Fire for 6 hours, make 500 gold, and it's $11 for 1,000 gold?
I
See,
did
I
recently
just
look
play
at
the
gold
auction
prices.
house and have craftable
So we
cooldowns
have
on multiple characters, and
we have a guild bank master that legit plays the auction house so well and utilizes like our internal crafters to do things from his auction house like wizardry, and we have everything available to
Mhm.
everybody every week for raid.
It's
No ifs, ands, or
that
buts.
We
that's
craft,
beautiful. Like I wish I
yeah,
was in a situation like that, but to be like,
yeah,
I
most
was
people are not.
advocate. Like I hate GDKP, right? I've always hated it. I hate gold buying. I hate botting. Like all of the problems from Classic, and I never once in my life bought gold, right? Until TBC, because I was like, I'm raid logging. I would after two years of Classic WoW, where Blizzard has proven to us that they will never do a single thing about a bot on the server, I gave up. I was like, look, I'm not going to sit here competing for tags against a hunter that's been here for 72 hours straight farming, right? It's just a waste of my time and it's a disrespect to
Yeah.
the actual player. So I said, screw it. You know what? I'm just going to buy the gold. And this is a hot take, but if they put the WoW token into TBC, I would be your first customer, Blizzard.
if they put
I
the
think
WoW token in, I will buy it. But until
Yeah.
then, like I've set myself up to where I'm making the money that I need
you
throughout.
play a lot though
Bob,
as well too, Bob. Like
I
Bob, you play outside of raid.
I can
Like
tell you
bit.
right now,
True.
I raid weekly with Blizzard employees in my raid team that also buy gold.
Yeah, I mean, I can
I believe it.
Give up.
I
I
mean,
gave up. I said,
we've
screw
had
it, you know
yeah,
what?
we've
Can't
had
beat 'em, join 'em.
rough raid nights because we have people
Yeah, we
on
had some people
temporary
banned.
bans for buying gold.
Yeah, I mean, it's a problem. There are a lot of aspects. I mean, I don't talk about it a lot because again, this is not like a super negative show. But there are a lot of aspects to classic WoW that have been entirely ruined for me. Some of my favorite parts of World of Warcraft are unplayable just because of the bot and economy situations that exist. That, yeah, someone in chat says go do daily quests. Well, an hour of my time to the 10 cents of gold that I'm gonna make. It's someone who is an adult who works and can be doing other things. It doesn't feel good, and it's just not. The game
Yeah.
is not in a healthy place for that. I really enjoy raiding. I really enjoy PvP. I'm logging on to do those things, but every other aspect of the game I think is suffering really, really bad right now.
And you know
Maybe
it's
on the mega
immune?
servers it's better, but
You know it's immune to it? Solo self-found hardcore.
yeah, so let's up on hardcore.
I was
Right.
just about to say
And
that,
I think
like,
it makes me appreciate it more because like now in hardcore it's like I have to earn all the money that I get. I don't have to worry about, okay, I was on I was on stream because Bob went to get something and he's like, I'll go get you wine if you prepare for raid on stream so that I can come back and do it, right? And I was like, okay,
yeah, because
fine.
I didn't want to end the stream.
Right. So I get on stream and I'm like, okay, so I'm gonna go prepare for raid. And I was about to open my bank and I was like, don't judge me. Okay. And I open my bank and it's just this like smorgasbord of crap in my
Lots of
bank.
stuff worth a ton of
Yeah.
money. I keep telling myself I need to like parse through her stuff and like post stuff, but I just never
Yeah, because I'm
do.
a hoarder, okay? Like, only in game, like at home, like, no, I'll throw things out. But in game, like, I'm just like, I don't know if I'm gonna need this.
Yeah.
I don't know if I can sell this, but I'm horrible at selling things on the auction house.
Well,
And
the
so,
state of the servers doesn't help either, though. You know, you've got most servers are 10% one faction, 90% the other. And if you're on that
Mhm.
10% one faction, the auction house is even dead for you. Where do you get your gold if you don't buy it?
Yeah, the problem
right,
is once
Yep.
they allowed factions to transfer without any regard for this bigger faction on where they're going, it's sort of like, well, Blizzard doesn't really care either. Like,
Yeah, they're
you
making their
can't
money.
fault me for not caring about like the health of the alliance side of Whitemane or care to do more than raid log when Blizzard is showing that they don't care. They want us on Benediction also. They don't want us on Whitemane sitting here. They want the mega servers. So it's like I'm doing what the game is expecting me to do at this point.
well,
So
I don't
and
care about
we, if
Whitemane.
we didn't
attunements were
summon to
removed.
SSC, if we
Attu-
didn't summon to SSC, then we would die 7 times going in, right? So
Here's
we're
my
Yeah.
utilizing something to allow us to summon to SSC so that we can get summoned and not have to die 25 times.
For Bob, I will end this conversation
Yep.
with the fact of life. We are all going down the casual train of expansions for WoW.
Facts of
Next
life
expansion,
when the
we're gonna be like,
world.
wow, I love that I can just go into heroics. I love that the rep that I gain, I just have to wear their tabard, and that's the rep that I gain in the heroics. I don't have to like go do these specific dungeons over and over again.
Mm.
I don't have to quest in those zones if I don't want to. I
Right. We wonder
everyone
how retail got to the way it is.
exactly what
It's
we keep
because of all the
begging
things we're
them.
bitching about.
Yeah, we're literally following in the footsteps, and now I'm the casual guy who's like, you know what?
Okay,
I
but at
just
the
don't want
same
to do it on
time,
my
Oh
a
own.
lot
shit!
of these
Here we
things
go
could
again.
be remediated by just not allowing faction transfers or not
Okay,
allowing.
I'm ending this one.
Okay.
Serpentshrine,
Yep.
Cavern, and TK attunements have been removed. Moving on
Yay.
to classic WoW Season of Mastery news. Just two updates from the news we had last week. The hilarious slip up on Lionheart AU has been, I guess, fixed. I guess they moved everybody back. They took all the gold back, took everything back. I don't know how they did that without rolling the server back. Anybody have any insight on this? If it actually is fixed or
I'm sure it's fixed, but what a joke. I'll just reiterate.
Yeah.
I could not be more disappointed in just like the state of classic
well,
when this is the where we live.
and
I know
from
they banned the people who did it.
oh
At
they
least
did
some
okay.
people did. I would like to know if those banned players got refunds for their transfers.
Ooh. Interesting.
Well, what's funny is I guess Lionheart isn't very populated according to Josh Corbett from Countdown to Classic. I was listening to his rant today, and he was not very happy with Season of Mastery's turnout. And it's looking like if you're not doing the hardcore challenge, Season of Mastery is really not that big.
Which I think we
There's-
knew.
Yeah, I
the
mean,
team
we
beforehand.
guessed would happen. Yeah.
Yeah, it's too soon. Way too soon for Fresh Classic. They should have waited until this time next year.
I even like I mean I feel bad saying this. This is the perfect season. They should have implemented some of this hardcore stuff, maybe even gone further with more rules than just having a no death rule. And they shouldn't have changed the bosses yet. Because I think the boss changes are really cool. I would be interested in experiencing that again. I'm just playing TBC right now. I don't want to go back and do that. So hardcore is kind of the only way that I would get back into vanilla. So the fact that like those are hitting at the same time, then next season of Mastery, it's probably going to be like really hardcore perfect, and then everyone's going to want to go back to vanilla to raid, and they won't like they've mismatched what's going on here.
Yeah, I
Okay,
mean,
The
but
good
you
raiding
see
honestly,
is in
that
TBC.
they are listening and they understand that there is a crowd out there because of the hardcore buff, right? So you like see that they're listening and that they are making changes for the better. And I think that that's all we
see,
can ask for.
but I think I've said this multiple times over this last week on stream when people ask. I think the hardcore buff, I really don't give a shit about. Like, I really could give two shits. The hardcore buff can be literally carried from start to end, period. You can be walked through everything. No, hold on.
Right.
Let me finish. You could be walked through everything. You could use the auction house. You could use the mail. You could do all this crap. The buff is easy freaking mode compared to Cargos's hard mode. Like that
Okay.
is the real true hardcore challenge. And no, you can't get that from Blizzard. I don't give a shit about your
You
little
can't get it
buff.
from anywhere though. That's the
Okay.
problem. I understand that the buff is like not good enough right now, but having an add-on that is the thing that proves that you've not died
I
is
mean, you're
way worse.
supposed to stream it. That's why I'm
Okay.
streaming
You're supposed
every
to stream it.
second
That's
of
such
No,
it.
an
you're supposed to
unreasonable ask.
record it, and you don't have to
Winky.
record it anymore.
Okay, true.
Now,
Yeah,
can
you don't
I
have to record
talk?
anymore.
You don't have
Yes.
to record anymore. But here's the thing is that I understand that this is not enough, right? But they have heard the people. They have said, I understand that there is this community. I think as we move forward, they're going to realize that this community is the only thing that made Season of Mastery popular, right? And that I think if you go to a non-hardcore server, I think you're going to see basically what you saw in the whatever era servers, classic era servers, right? You're not going to see the population that you see in the classic hardcore community. And I I think that you guys want more right now, and they're going to get there. And it might be too late, sure. But I think that the people that have been influential in getting them there, I think it's huge, right? Like this is what people want. And here you go. It's not just people replaying classic over and over again. It's let's make this challenging. Let's make this exciting in a different way. And from that, I'm hoping that they can develop different things that maybe we haven't thought about yet.
Well, I think that's exactly like what will come. That's why I'm not trashing the buff because the buff is the only legitimacy to hardcore that
Yeah.
exists in game. Like I understand there's an add-on and the add-on everyone looks at the no one's looking at my add-on telling me I haven't died yet. Like there's no there's personal agency, but there's no real like there's no social aspect to it. Can anyone even check if
Unless
I'm
you're in
actually
a guild. I am
They can
in
check.
or unless you're in a guild?
I'm
Yes.
They can, yeah,
like
they can
it's
check.
crazy. I'm in the hardcore Bravo guild because Alania got us in, and so I'm in with all my characters, and it's great because like I just get to see these people die. And I'm like, oh no, level 52. Oh no.
Dude, that's the worst.
Or
I see, like, a
someone's in a
level 8
freaking
die.
dungeon and one person dies, and I'm like, oh, here it comes. And then it's
Yeah.
like ding, 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 because they're all the same guild running it and they all died. Oh my god, it's crazy.
So that's really cool and fun, but that's not accessible. And what we're talking about is
Yeah.
accessibility. You're
So I
trashing the
think
buff, but the buff is the only accessible part of the game.
Yeah.
They'll sorry.
to speak to Yip's point, I think you figured it out, right? Like hardcore is amazing. It always has been really fun. There have been adjustments to the rules as needed over time. Like we finally hit this point where it's like, okay, this rule set seems to work the best. This is gonna be what it is. But I also think that is incredibly limiting on people being able to jump in and play it. It's not accessible. The real play is Season of Mastery next season, dedicated one server on each area for one hardcore server. And the only thing they need to do is turn off the resurrect button. Because
Can they
then
turn
solo
off mail
self-found.
too? Because if I'm not allowed to take mail, I don't want to see my mail icon.
Well, so that's the thing. I think that the way Blizzard should do it, and this is maybe counterintuitive to the rest of the hardcore community, it's just my opinion. They should literally launch the game exactly how it is. No resurrect button. If you want
I
to
think
play
they
solo
should launch it with the
self-found,
hardcore server rules.
but
Like,
if you
why not launch
because
hardcore
it's
servers?
not accessible. It's just not
Crazy.
accessible. If you want a successful like hardcore server, and you can take notes from Diablo, Path of Exile, Iron Man, and OSRS. Like it needs to be the full game, no resurrect button available, and it just turns you into a ghost, or you can delete your character, right? One of the two. And then let people choose. Hey, I'm doing solo self-found. I don't want to group with anybody, because then it's the same as Path of Exile, where when you create your character, you can pick hardcore, solo self-found. It puts you on a different layer than the rest of the hardcore players, right? You can pick softcore, solo self-found, and then it puts you on your own layer. And then you've got these different communities of people. Some people might want to run the dead mines till they get a cruel barb, right? Some people might want to run to only once. Some people might want to group for a quest in the Loch Madon. Some people might want to try and solo that quest. And I think you got to leave it. You need to sacrifice a little bit to gain a lot when it comes to player base. And if you allow these people to make the decisions for themselves, it will become much more accepted in the community. And I think what Bob was saying about not caring about the buff, I'm going to challenge that, because when there wasn't a buff, you didn't want to play hardcore.
Yeah.
Well, it's not really that. It's just I just didn't think I would do it, but the road to rag sounded kind of neat, so that's what got me started.
True.
But then I was
Yeah, the event's dope.
but then I was like, well, I don't even care about the road to rag. I'm going to do 3 different characters and just do this. Like, this is so, it makes me wish I would have started earlier, because
Okay.
then I would have really pushed towards the road to rag.
I've seen the population that only wants to play with the hard or the Soul of Iron buff, and I love that. And I don't think excluding these people from being technically hardcore makes the community stronger. I saw this with RuneScape. I saw the whole thing from someone deciding on their own, hey, I want to play a version of this game where I have to find all my own stuff. I'm going to call it, I think it was called One Man Army or something, and I'm going to do everything on my own. I saw it get implemented in the game as Iron Man. People were like, I want to do that, but I don't want to die. And people would do that on their own. And then it got implemented into the game as a choice that you could have on your own. Then people were like, I want to do this, but I don't want to be able to access my bank. And if I die, I lose all my stuff, basically. So they implemented that into the game. These are changes that happened over time, but because of the replayability of these modes versus the actual game of do you want to go kill Rag again? I think that it's okay for them to have iterations of it. And starting with just the Soul of Iron, I think that it seemed like a lot for them to even do that. I was surprised when they announced
I
that.
just,
So
I mean, I
I
think
just
that's
don't think
them
hardcore is as cool.
accepting that there is a vehement community that is really committed to this way of playing, right? And I think that we have to understand that it's a process.
Yeah, but you're misunderstanding what I'm
you're
talking
playing
about.
duo though, Bob.
No, what I'm
Someone
yeah, I'm playing two duos and
and
one
people who
solo.
play solo
And
would say the same thing
I
to you.
love
Duo's
my
not
solo
hardcore.
the most, but I love my friends too. So
I'm just saying.
But what I am saying is I don't think hardcore is really that hard if you could group with other people, if you could use the auction house, if you could use the mail. I don't think hardcore is hard.
I don't think
Now,
hardcore is hard either, because
For
you can
you.
cheese it too. You can cheese
Maybe.
hardcore mode too. Someone can sit
It's-
outside your group and kill everything for you, Bob.
let's
No,
put it
you can't.
in-
I mean, if you do it true to the thing, then you have to stream it all. So
No, you-
that's what I'm.
Those
That's
are not
what
the
I'm doing.
rules anymore, Pop.
But the app will actually it won't see people killing stuff outside. See, and that's why I say if you're not streaming, I don't know. If you're not recording, I don't know.
I think I mean, if I want to put it, I'm trying to think of a good example here, but I think if I want to put it in terms of TBC right now, like if you want to relate it to something like that, let's look at guilds that are 10 out of 10 versus not 10 out of 10, right? What is easy for some is very difficult for others, right? So there's people like you and I, that we've played a lot of World of Warcraft our lives. We have keybinds. We know minute things like mobs can execute you, right? Or mobs, hey, that mob netted me, 2 years ago when I made my character on Classic, and I remember that, right? Which we find is cool and interesting, and that makes it challenging but still fun. And I think a lot of the newer players that are coming in, maybe someone wants to give it a shot because their brother or sister is playing hardcore, right? And they're like, oh well, if the community's there and that's where the people are, I want to play that too. But I've never really leveled in Classic. When I did it in Classic, I dungeon grinded the whole way. I spell cleaved my way up, or I paid a mage 50 gold an hour to just blast me through Maradon, right? Those people, I feel like they deserve a challenge. But some of these rules that we have are just incredibly limiting. And I
Yeah.
was part of the creation of some of these rules. I was part of the teams that were making the decisions on why do we not allow mailbox. You know, when I started hardcore, we allowed alts, and you could mail items to an alt to have a bank. So when you made a new character, you could funnel
Right.
green items that you had found on your higher level characters. But the fundamental reasoning behind a lot of these rules, like the requiring you to record or stream your gameplay and no mailbox and no trading, wasn't necessarily because we were having issues with the challenge being too easy. It was problems with verification of the characters hitting 60.
Right.
But
And
now that,
people abusing the system, right? Like,
yeah,
there's always going to be levels of like, oh, okay, you can abuse this way that you don't think about when you're making the rules because you're like,
mhm.
well, people
Well,
won't
yeah,
do that.
back in the day, like this time last year, what we were doing is everyone that hit 60, we would add them to the website after somebody, some human, had to watch their entire leveling gameplay, right? And me
That's
included,
unrealistic.
I was sitting there working, and I would have someone's recorded gameplay on my screen next to me 24/7 for an entire year, right? And it was just nonstop. And then the community would grow, and it would just get more and more people that would come in. And I'd have to be like, okay, well, this guy traded. What did he trade?
Well,
And who
and
did he trade?
there's
Was it his duo
dude,
partner? Was it someone else? You know, and
there's
it's a horror.
like I turned off trading. I turned off all these different things because people try to troll you with that shit too.
Mm-hmm,
Like they just open up trades and try to like trade you something to like
mm-hmm.
mess with the add-on. What's nice is the add-on does, which is funny because I put the add-on on classic first, TBC, and then I realized, oh, I got to do it for Classic Era with all my add-ons, and so I put it, but I left it on Classic TBC. I'm sitting there on my bank alt. I'm like, why can I not use the auction house? What is wrong? Like I'm just right clicking, nothing's happening. I'm like, I can't open my mail either. It says I have mail, but I don't see any mail. Like what the, it was the add-on that was doing that. It was hilarious. It
My
took me like 5 minutes to figure out.
my last hot take with this is that I legitimately might think that the hardcore rules are actually not good. I think they might be bad and antithetical to what's trying to happen in Season of Master right now. When you hit 60, all of the rules are immediately thrown out now if you're doing Road to Rag, right? Like, you know how you
Kind
can
of.
group with these people, you can you can trade with each other. Like the
With
fact
people
that
in
you can
your guild, right?
Yeah.
but I'm saying that is immediately antithetical to the whole what you're suggesting, that the rules need to be X and Y way. Well, if you want to raid without dying, we immediately have to get rid of some of the rules. So maybe the hardcore rules that exist now, I personally just think for hardcore to live, it needs to eventually
It's
100%
just
be in game.
how do you
What
stop getting money from gold sellers? That's what's beautiful, I think, about
No.
the hardcore challenge. Allowing trades and allowing auction house and allowing the mailbox opens that gate.
not
I
if
think
the
you
yeah, sure. I mean, sure.
I think you just have a toggle switch like Path of Exile where it says solo self found.
Yeah,
And
I
it
mean,
won't allow
exactly.
trade
A
windows
toggle
come up.
switch.
And
Uh,
let the individual make the choice, right, as to what rules they want to apply to them, other than not dying. Because
yeah,
that is what hardcore is. Like I run F's in chat. We
I
interviewed David
gotcha.
Brevik, the creator of Diablo, and I asked him about hardcore, specifically because Diablo was the first game to ever have hardcore as a game mode, like ingrained in the system. And he said, like, hey, some people are just crazy, and if his philosophy on it is really good. I'd have to go back and rewatch it and re-listen to quote it, perfectly. But I think more rules is good for a smaller community, but you need to start stripping those away if you want it to grow to the point where it's accessible to anyone that wants to just make a character, click a button, enter the world, and not die. And
I completely.
griefing would go away completely, which is a huge bonus for the community because we would have a dedicated server. If somebody griefs you, all it takes is one person to kill that player. They have to re-level a whole new tune to grief you.
Yeah, and if there
I'm
are
not
like
gonna lie,
you
I
can
don't
have
stream,
trading.
and that really detracted me from wanting to play hardcore. That
Yeah.
you had to stream all of your like leveling. Like that detracted me. I was like, well, I'm not going to
Yep.
stream.
And
That
shout outs to
attracted
the
me too.
community. A huge shout out to the community that came up with the add-on. I mean, this is a grassroots movement. We have people that are, and nobody's getting paid for anything we're doing. And we've had probably close to 15 people step up and help develop the add-on so that you don't have to record or stream.
Yeah, that's
And
huge.
they're
Kudos to them.
outside the box thinkers. How can we make this add-on that absolutely intrudes upon your gameplay without breaking Blizzard's like add-on TOS? And they've got really creative with it, and it's amazing.
Yeah. Well, all right. So in the last bit of news, PvP was fucked up. They tried to fix it. They overfixed it. It was still fucked up. They pulled it back, and now I don't know if it's still fucked up or not. But people lost items, and yeah.
Oh, add this in earlier, by the way. Hey, brand new news. A blue post did just confirm that Yip is always 100% correct, and the nerfs coming next week are the 2.3 or 2.4.3 versions of the bosses, not just arbitrary nerfs that they're putting in. A blue post has confirmed that their final versions of these bosses and raids will be in, which means they're going to be incredibly easy.
Which means I'll have more time for some hardcore. So sweet.
Hey, same.
All right. So, okay, this is where we're at now. We're actually running really long. I did want to hear like some of the MC and pre-gearing strategies. How do you guys feel? Do you want to do that? If so, I'll just do a second episode this week. But if not, we can just end it here.
I can super TLDR it too if you want. Or nothing
I
crazy.
think we can talk about it. We talked
All
a
right,
lot
well,
about hardcore already, like a lot of the general.
All right, well then let's move on to discussion. All right, so this week in discussion, I was really curious about what the hardcore scene was going to be doing to gear up for MC, if they were going to run in and do trash runs or do one or two bosses, basically work themselves up week by week. Because what people at home might forget about is you need quintessence to get to rag. So you need enough people that have those to be able to douse. And you can't just use the certain amount, because if one person dies, they can't use their quintessence. So there's a lot that goes in. I saw Duranosaur today in a raid farming echoes in Winter Spring, and it just got me to thinking, like, there's probably a lot of intricate planning going into this. And so with Winky on, I wanted him to kind of tell us about some of their discussions or plans for the road to rag.
So the discussion and the plans is it's such a weird thing. We've never been in a situation in WoW where it's quite as unique that we're in currently, right? We've got around 120, 130 players at level 60 currently.
Nice. Damn, I didn't know it was that many. Wow.
Yeah, and we are.
Are they all people vetted though? Are they people you aren't sure if they're gonna like troll the raid for the memes?
So to get into the hardcore elite guild, the level 60 guild, you have to be vetted via the add-on in the website to even get an invite to the guild. We're going to do a secondary vetting. We've got a spreadsheet of every player, their current loadout on 60 upgrades of what gear they currently have on, a link to their classic World of Warcraft logs to show yada, yada, yada. And it wouldn't surprise me. I mean, we've talked about it, but it would not surprise me if you need a recommendation to even step foot in Molten Core from somebody else in the raid that is known. Because a lot of us know each other. We've played together a long time, like people like me and Duranosaur, Sarth, Cargos,
like
Vodka,
Def Camp, Melderon.
Def Camp, Melderon. Like, we've all known each other in the classic WoW ethos for a long time. We can trust that none of us are going to intentionally Leroy Jenkins the raid, right? So if I don't know Joe Schmo and Sarth knows Joe Schmo and Sarth says, no, he's really good. He's cool. I raided with him in classic. He's, we're really cool like that. Then that person probably has a higher chance of walking into Molten Core than somebody else. But right now, most of the theory that's going into the high end discussions is comp, raid comp. We have no clue what we're doing in terms of raid comp because what we're doing has never been done before. So it's difficult to decide based on logs, right? There's only like 8 or 9 guilds that have cleared the new Molten Core anyway.
Because normally you go into Molten Core and you go as far as you can until you wipe a couple times. You're like, okay, we'll go for next week. Everybody make sure to farm more of your prebis, yada yada yada.
Yep, and we already talked about it as a community, but we're against PTR testing. We're not going to PTR test at all. We think that defeats the purpose of the challenge. So what we're really relying on is Warcraft logs to see incoming, outgoing damage. What comps were these people running? But that necessarily won't work for us. It's going to be a huge challenge, right? For instance, Warlock. I talk about Warlock a lot because that's my main class. DS Ruin is just not going to fly. The main raid spec is just not going to work in a hardcore environment because you're going to be having mitigation warrior tanks with no world buffs trying to generate threat, and if you get 2 crits, you're turning a core hound on the raid, and then all of a sudden you lose a couple people from your raid roster.
So you have decided to go MIT. You have decided to go prot warriors rather than fury tanks, huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And the gearing is going to be incredibly interesting. We're going to swap. There's discussion currently about swapping characters based on which encounters we're about to fight. So we might even build like a raid comp per boss that is a target raid comp that we will be switching to prior to that raid. So like, let's say, Gar, you get 7 warlocks. Luciferon, you get 3 warlocks, and it's just, there's all these things that are up in the air. But the hardest part about planning it is that we don't know who's going to be alive when we need to walk into Molten Core. So who do you promote as your raid lead prior to Molten Core? How do you assign leadership for a raid of people when the leader might die in Scholomance tomorrow?
Okay, do you have a policy against a raid leader being able to lead the raid while watching on Discord?
Perfect question. I was just about to ask.
There is no policy against that. We would encourage it, but the problem is 40 people in a call and a raid leader that's watching like a main tank perspective.
Right.
And then the raid leader making a call that the tank is not doing.
Right.
The raid leader may be watching on Discord and say, okay, pull this next pack of giants, and the main tank may have already charged in or may be targeting something else, or there might be a pat coming, and the raid leader that's watching on Discord didn't see it because he can't move the camera.
Turn his camera.
And it's just it's difficult.
Maybe he would want to like watch somebody else behind. Like, I don't think I've ever in my entirety, I've never had a raid leader who was a tank, ever.
Yeah, true. Or wasn't in the raid for that instance.
Well, we have had that because our 3 weeks ago, our raid leader got banned for something, and
like beginning of raid.
Okay.
Yeah, well, actually, right after Hydros.
Yeah, so he continued to play a raid leader while watching the perspective of multiple people. He actually had like 2 people pulled up in his perspective.
Yeah, there were
something.
multiple people streaming, so he just watched multiple people.
In retail mythic raiding, they run 20 men. They usually run a leader who's outside. The problem is that it's like that's like a high level. These people all know each other. They know they know who the raid leader is. This isn't we have one life. We have one attempt. Do you have the raid leader be outside the raid?
Good call. But keep going.
We're gonna find a lot out tomorrow. Tomorrow's our first attempt at like Molten Core trash farming. So I'm sure we're gonna see the majority of people's personalities that are gonna be in the raid. How we decide those people out of the 120 players that we have that want to go to Molten Core to be in the initial 40-person roster is going to be based off gear, Warcraft logs, overall preparedness, consumables, stuff like that. And then from then on out, it's going to be get a feel for people's personalities, see how hard the trash is hitting, and it's going to be scary. It's going to be scary.
I am excited. You
So
okay? You
what
guys
kind
are
of
all gonna
barriers,
stream
though?
it, right?
So there's no requirement to stream it.
No,
The
no, no.
problem,
But you guys, I'm just talking
I
about.
will if I'm in the raid.
Okay,
Right?
well,
Like
I am
Cargo,
gonna be
Cargo's
tuning
will,
in if I can.
Cargo's will, but he won't be in the raid tomorrow because his hunter is our guild bank with the flask recipes, and we can't risk that dying. And his paladin just died in
Oh.
the 50s 2 nights ago.
Oh,
So
Oh no!
what's crazy is, I mean, when we go into Molten Core for the rag kill, I'm talking the pinnacle, like the finale, right, of the whole Road to Rag event. Whether we live or die, there might be close to 100,000 people watching spread across all the streamers, right?
Yeah.
If you're streaming that raid, there is a large audience of people that are going to be showing up. And we've even discussed, okay, if you are a content creator, how do you approach raiding? Because if you let a tank die because you're healing and you're thanking Megan for subbing to your
Right.
channel for 15 months in a row instead of focusing on the raid,
Right.
right? You're not only wasting your time, you're wasting thousands of hours of gameplay across 40 players. And it's a scary thought. So we've talked about, okay, how do we handle content
Well,
creators? Do
and
we require emote only chat? Do like
well, and if you're streaming, it's gonna be on record of any
yeah,
mistake that you made. Oh my
yeah.
God, I hadn't thought
If
about that before you
if
just said that.
if you don't use keybinds and you're clicking and you're streaming or the Road to Rag event, there will be several Reddit posts about you individually. Like you know how it works, right? Like it's a scary thing.
Just turn off your mouse pointer, and then they don't know if you're clicking.
Yeah, true.
Ah,
Very
there
true.
you go.
Very
Don't
true.
give them
Genius.
ammo, Bob.
Yeah,
Okay,
they
I
need
don't
to
turn
be-
it off.
here's my biggest question: is so you guys aren't going to do the PTR,
Nope.
but my question is that they've made significant changes
Yes, they have.
to Molten Core. So how is
We
They did play the
We're-
PTR once. Some
Well,
of the
so-
people in the main raid played
Yeah.
the PTR once.
So some
Okay.
of the people did, but we're also having a guild-wide meeting where there's going to be, the Discord, pedestal speaker that no one else is allowed to talk. And it's going to be whoever we decide to be our raid leader. Right now, we're leaning towards Ompy. I don't know if you guys know Ompy from Grizzly. He's a big classic raider back in the day.
I mean,
Private
I
server
know
player.
Grizzly, but I don't know his act. Like, I don't really know
Yeah,
Speed
well, you know
Brothers.
Grizzly for their negative, their
Yeah,
negative
we-
posts, right?
We definitely
But
covered that.
Ompy is one of the most blessed human beings on the planet. Like Omp is amazing. He's a wonderful human being. The actions of that guild, in my opinion, definitely don't reflect on him as a person. He's a wonderful, wonderful person. Full 100 parser, like ranked top 5 in all of Molten Core. Like he's a very, very strong World of Warcraft player. And when it comes
okay?
to
But just
raiding
because you're really
specifically,
good at your job doesn't mean you can lead a raid.
he's also a leader. We've raided with him in the past. A lot of us have anyway, off of hardcore. And he's a great leader, but the problem is he's a little quiet at times, so we need to work with him. But we're gonna have whoever the raid lead is
sometimes the
designated.
people that are not less, but sometimes the people that are good at what they do are
Mhm.
better teachers, right?
100%.
Yeah, but I mean, he raid led Grizzly. Like, I mean, he should be fine.
Okay.
I think it's weird too because like when you're from a high end guild and you go into playing with non high end raiders,
Right. You
sometimes
don't
you
think
end up
you have
with,
to say
with lack
certain
of
things.
expectations. Exactly. Yeah. Some things you may be thinking, oh, my warlocks know to banish their targets. That should be a sign, and then like the warlocks just don't know, right? Or
Yeah.
things like that can happen. But the idea is we're going to get a raid lead. Once we get that lined up, we're probably gonna have 2 or 3 like big figureheads. We're gonna watch footage of the Road to Rag or the Molten Core with the changes, and we're gonna go over each fight individually, one-on-one as a guild. Like we're gonna have all of them in the Discord call. The leaders sharing their screen. We're going over strategy, and we're probably gonna do it a couple times and just drill it into people's face what the mechanics are of the fight. Because if someone blows me up in Molten Core because they don't know the mechanics, I'm going to be very upset. And I'm a very not upset kind of human being. There might be people throwing their keyboards out the windows. There might be people, getting real mad at someone messing up. So it's going to be an interesting
But then there's a lot
dynamic.
of pressure, right? Like now there's like so much pressure on people to not mess up
Yes.
that those people that like take the flight response instead of the fight response
It's like
Yeah.
professional sports.
Well,
fail.
It's like,
okay.
okay, a professional baseball team has to play another professional baseball team. That's a lot of pressure.
Hold on,
But
though.
you're chosen to be in this raid. You need to be able to know what you're doing, perform well, and do the mechanics, right? Like
Well, and
that's
you
like
made
the
it to 60.
prerequisite. Exactly. You've
And
made
you
it to
made it
60
to
through
60.
hardcore. Like
Yeah.
you're expected.
I
You would
do.
hope that you can handle it.
I do want to know, when do you guys? Because in the hardcore challenge, while leveling, there's always that point where you're like, time to run. Will there be a time to run
Yes.
during
So we
certain
talk about
times
that
in Molten
too.
Core?
I talk about it all the time on Fs. Part of being a good player in hardcore and part of being someone that can get to 60 and does is being able to decide on the fly, like snap second decision, do we fight this or do we run? Right? Because knowing the outcome of that sets you up for success on your leveling journey, right? There will be times where we will be running for Molten Core. And it's going to come down to the raid lead. And when that raid lead calls run, better hope you're low on the threat table. You pop your limited invulnerability potion into a light of a loon, and you try and make it to the exit. We've talked about having mages pre-pop portals before making pulls, so everyone can just run in and click on a portal if it goes bad.
Is
problem with
Flask
that
of
is
Petrification in?
it is in, I believe. We don't have a recipe yet, because it's a world drop, like 1% chance, but I think we've decided mage portals are against the spirit of the challenge. So flat Petri Flask and like Ghetto Hearthing is probably also going to be against the spirit of the challenge. I think it's going to be like Nifty Stopwatch, Swiftness Spotlight of a Loon, get the hell out of there, do whatever you can do to get out, and hope that you make it, to survive, to bring in the
I
B
didn't even
team.
think about Ghetto Hearthing either.
Yeah, I mean, we're probably going to have an A, B, and C raid roster lined up outside the dungeon, ready to go. If a rogue dies from group 1, we swap it with one of the rogues from raid group B in that group, right?
To make everyone feel better, you should give them names like colors.
Yeah, we probably
Feel
should.
like they're on the B squad.
Yeah, it's gonna
I'm
be
not
a scary
Not
thing.
everybody's a
Sky Blue
winner.
squad.
I
Yes,
just
not
can't wait to
everybody's a
watch.
winner.
Yeah, I'm definitely gonna be tuning into whoever is streaming that's in the raid tomorrow. We're gonna be decorating our Christmas tree. I can't wait to watch. See
Well, I
who
hope
dies.
to be there. Maybe you can watch me. I hope I'm there. I don't know yet.
Oh,
They
man.
haven't let me know. There's a lot of geared people. Bobka in specific is full. Like he could walk into Nax right now. He's playing a rogue. He's got full 0.5 set.
Oh shit.
He's got double Crusader on both Dalren's weapons. Like he's 100% pre-bis and bis over a lot of MC gear anyway. It's actually insane the level at which these people that are playing hardcore are getting geared.
He's gonna have to, because I was a rogue in original vanilla. He's gonna have to just understand 3 to 4 sunders before going in and faint on
more than
cooldown.
More than that. We don't have Fury Prot. We don't have world buffs. The
Well, I mean,
tanks
this
are gonna
is-
gen threat.
yeah,
real
well,
low.
In original vanilla, we didn't have Fury Prot either. We had Prot.
Yeah, way back when.
Yeah. So
sorry.
like the
I think the
rogues
answer,
would
though, is
literally
in
just
hardcore,
wait
why?
forever, and you would use Fate on CD, and then the rogue officer in the rogue chat would have like a macro that says vanish now, and that's like
Yep.
mid fight, or certain fights were different times. But he would hit that, and all the rogues would like drop aggro, then come back in. Like it was a real, like aggro was a huge thing when you had full prot tanks.
I would like to say also, though, during that time, there were only estimates of threat. there are now real threat numbers that we can measure in real time. If someone
Yeah.
pulls and dies, that's like
That's my
they
biggest
shouldn't be
fear.
at this point.
I
Yeah,
mean, we still had threat apps. It was just
Well, no, they were
estimated.
estimated,
Yeah.
so
Yes,
you would never want to
okay,
be close. Is the
but you still had threat apps, but your fear of dying was much less, right? Because if you
Yeah.
died, somebody rescued you. And it was
I mean,
fine. You moved on with your life, right? Now, like
Yeah.
warlocks aren't seeding when it comes
There's
out,
no
right?
seed in vanilla.
Okay, either way, that's what I'm just trying to make an analogy
who
here.
cares about what warlocks can and can't do, Bob?
What I'm saying is that you're not gonna get the first hit if you think that if you die you have to delete your 60
Yeah, there's no
character that you
pre-dotting.
that's my fear, to be honest. I've been running 60 dungeons with some of these people that are currently in the 60 guild. And I'm not gonna lie, some people are just getting complacent. You know,
Yeah.
they're starting to feel invincible. They're starting to feel like their characters cannot die. We had a group full wipe almost. One person lived and it was a hunter that feigned death in Lower Blackrock the other day. Sometimes you make one mistake and it can kill not only you but everyone there. And combined, you know, that's 10 days played time on each character, right? So you've got 50 days played just deleted immediately. And my biggest fear in Molten Core is people that have that mentality of I need to prove to the world how good I am at doing damage, and just ripping threat and turning a mob towards the raid. Raid takes
Getting
huge amounts of
everybody
damage.
cleaved.
Yeah, well, I'm even worried about raid damage because the healers are gonna be freaking out, right? They're gonna be like, "Oh God, raid damage!" Right? They're gonna be pumping, and then the tanks might get left alone because the raid took a bunch of
Yeah.
damage, and then when the tanks get left alone, the tank might die, and if the tank dies, we're all screwed. We all die, right? And
Because before that, it was like let the raid die, heal the tank, right? Like that
Mhm.
was your mentality, right? If you had to choose somebody, you choose the tank. And now it's like, don't make stupid mistakes because I
Yeah,
can't heal you. Like I have to heal the tank.
and then there's RNG, you know, like Fire Blossom on the like post Baron. Fire Blossom could two-shot you just based off RNG, and it'll burn through your FPP and kill you. Just you're dead.
Yeah, that we experienced it a lot in normal.
Yeah.
in normal.
Yeah.
So the problem with that though is that now your prebis changes to stand gear instead of damage gear, right? And for people like Bob and I, the warlocks, there is a very large difference in Dreadweave for stam and int versus shadow damage greens in terms of survivability and max damage output, right? So where's the line that we need to draw when we're balancing that to survive kind of RNG things like Fire Blossom, but at the same time still be able to kill bosses on these new Season of Mastery boss fights in a time, because we need to kill the bosses before the healers run out of mana. That's really what it comes
Right.
down to.
And healers are going to be for a rude awakening, right? Because
Yeah.
in classic or in vanilla WoW, I could not spam flash heal all the time. That is not a thing. That is not what I could do. But in classic WoW, as a
Well,
priest,
how do you know? Because you were a druid in vanilla WoW.
okay,
Well, it's
because
true.
the
Fight
priests
times were long.
needed
The problem-
innervate every time from me.
Gotcha.
Okay, so I knew they couldn't spam flash heal the whole time.
Yeah,
But the fight times matter a ton, even in
Oh.
the classic vanilla that we just played. There were times if you look at the top logs versus lower logs, top people only classic flash heal. Medium logs with longer kill times, you just can't get away with it. It
Yeah,
definitely.
you can't get away with it. But
The
that's
fight times
all
are
that our
super
healers did.
concerning right now. If we cannot kill a boss before the healers run out of mana, the whole raid wipes, and that's just the end of the story, right? But then how do you prio your prebis to kill the boss fast, but still not get one
Not
shot
die.
by a
This
a
is why
fear
it's so
from
exciting.
the fire on the ground, right?
You
Are
really
you
have
guys
to
gonna
be
be
a team.
disappointed?
You really have to be a team, right?
I
Because
will be happy no matter what.
Because I'm gonna be honest with you, this part is really cool and fun. You guys are probably all just gonna die though.
100%, and I'm
Like,
okay with it. I'm okay with
okay.
it. So Duranosaur and I have a very similar philosophy. This is the season of hardcore for us. We've been playing hardcore for a long time already. This is going to be the year where we dedicate the entire year, whether it's road drag or not, to end game hardcore. You know, raiding, and I'm sure a lot of people from the community will also want to do that, right? When we walk into Molten Core and if we wipe and we go through 200 members in the guild, right? Just everyone's dead. Rag isn't dead yet. I think that would light more of a fire under me to continue playing hardcore than it would had we go in and one shot it. But I'm also a sadist. I hate enjoyment and I hate having fun with my life, right? So there's people that are like me, and then there's people that aren't. But for me, it's been a dream to just get people that want to play hardcore and in an endgame setting. Walking into Molten Core would be a win in my book. I don't care how much we kill. If we kill a boss, cool, right? That's even better. But if I get to walk into Molten Core with 40 hardcore players, I'm already like on the clouds enjoying life.
Good. That's how that's how you should see it, because I think that is incredible. That alone is already breaking out of what anyone can do, right? Just making it there.
Yeah.
And then the fact
Right.
that it's buffed is just like, I'm not saying it's impossible, but it is sort of like the expectations have become different.
Yeah,
than-
it's
I mean,
nuts.
how
Okay, so
often is
you
it
have a
in
warlock.
today's?
You have a warlock at 60, Winky,
I
right?
do.
Do you have a backup?
I'm working on a hunter right now as a backup. Yeah,
So
because my
that's
warlock could die
interesting to
tomorrow.
think that you wouldn't work on a warlock as a backup to kind of fill the same spot,
Well,
right?
I'm also like I'm a content creator, and I don't want to bore the audience with playing the same
That's
class
fair.
Or
twice in a row.
bore yourself too. That's why I'm doing
Yeah.
3 different characters.
Yeah, I mean,
He's a
I'm on
content
a
creator.
current
He has to
challenge
bore
right now. Like right now, I'm on a challenge specifically just for me. I'm trying to do every class in the game consecutively without dying. So I just finished
Okay.
Rogue before Season of Mastery came out, and then I one shot the Warlock, thank goodness. So there's 2, right? So if I can get this Hunter down, that's 3, and then it's 7 more, and I've got a year to do it. So I think I can do it. Warrior would probably be the hardest,
Yeah.
but we'll see. You know, who knows?
Priest.
And then
You'll
I'll have
love
lots of
Priest.
backups. Priest is
I
so
love
fun.
Priest.
Priest is very fun.
Between
But
yeah,
So
what,
fun.
Spirit Tap, improve wand ability, like you are so
That's all I
self.
got. I got wands, spirit tap, and now I got shield.
The
Like,
only
that's where I'm at.
the only problem I have with my priest is that I'm playing with a backstab rogue who wants the last kills because you gain like a crit buff from getting the
Murder?
I
last.
know. That's
So I'm
not
just-
Was
okay.
it? It's like murder or like relentless strikes
Ye-
or something like that. Some
Yeah,
weird.
so it's just like
Yeah, I play
just
with a
have to take Spirit
warlock.
Tap.
I play with a warlock that wants to drain life or soul or whatever, and I
Yeah.
always get the last hit. It's wonderful.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but you
why
can
do I
just
have to
tap.
drain life?
For soul
You can-
stones. Or
can just
for
tap.
like soul shards, so you can make me health
No,
stones.
no, that's not drain life.
Okay,
Why
whatever
do I
you're
drain
doing.
life?
Oh,
Because you're
to get
taking
more
damage
life?
while you're making bolts in the middle of the road.
Because I'm not
or-
getting heals.
Yeah, you're doing.
You should
Well-
always let Mel get the spirit tap though, because her mana is your mana at the end of the day. You just tap it down, she'll heal you.
Oh, I just like basically dot up, but like I'll just like I'll just trade life because like I'm at 75% life and I don't like that.
We have
True.
this incredible combo. I mean we've already been talking for a very long time, but I love Priest Rogue because Mind Blast is an insane amount of threat. So we have the Dagger Rogue is behind the target the whole time, basically right till it dies. So I shield myself, Mind Blast, Wand, I'm at full mana, he's getting an insane amount of damage done. We move on to the next one. It's like incredible.
Yeah.
I don't ever mind blast anymore. I didn't even train mind blast.
The only reason I'm doing it, well, I'm going Shadow, and then it helps with like what our combo is like the main.
Yeah.
focus,
I guess for me, like I've never had to think about what I wanted to train. Right? Like, I've
You
always
must
just
never have
trained.
played a warrior.
I've trained
Yeah.
everything that's available, right? Like
Yeah.
now I'm like, should I spend 16 silver on this ability? And I'm like, what am I talking
can-
about?
I can guarantee you don't need to train resurrect.
I already did.
You
And I
trained
did
it.
it instinctively.
You didn't
at
tell
the
me that
beginning.
on stream. You told me I was like, well, yeah, you don't need to trade that. You're like, yeah, I didn't. So you're
No.
you're outing yourself right now.
No, go back to stream.
It's on
I
file.
was like, go back and look at it. I was there and I was like, well, I trained Resurrect. I guess I shouldn't have trained that because that's not gonna help me.
How's the achievement feel, Winky? You're breaking up a marriage right now over this resurrection
I
information.
will tell you,
Yeah,
you guys,
feels
listen.
good.
Hardcore duo. We've been married for 12 years. Okay. I love Bob in and of his deficits here, right? But
Mhm.
there has never been more stress on our relationship than my life attached to his, right? Like, I am like, I want to kill you right now. Like, but I want to go over here. And he's like, but I want to go over here. And it's like, well, if we both go to different areas, we're going to die. And it's this like standoff,
But
right?
I'm the but aren't you happy
Yeah.
that I know so much about the game and I know where we should go next? I know the route we
Bob
should
didn't know there were
take.
bags
No?
on vendors.
No. Bob has to be the passive one because he pees more than I do. Okay.
Bob,
So when you go to the bathroom more than me, you have to be passive. Okay. So he is just submitted at this point to accepting that I'm going to pull things with my priest because I'm very strong right now and I can pull things and I can kill them with or without him. Okay.
Mhm.
And that's fine. I love your puppy. Is it a
Oh,
German Shepherd
sorry.
puppy?
German
Yeah,
Shepherd,
she's
beautiful.
half shepherd, half husky.
Oh my
oh,
gosh.
that's
she's
Want to say
amazing.
hi,
cute.
Emma? Here, I'll move the camera closer.
Yeah.
Hi, baby.
Say hi, Emma.
Oh my gosh.
She's feeling her mom's out
Oh.
shopping, so
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I
she
have
comes in, she puts her hands here because I tried to teach her to shake once, and she now instead of shaking, she just constantly thinks she has to put her hand on you to show
This
affection.
makes you
it's like,
happy,
hey,
right?
Hey.
Yeah, see,
is
look
what
at she
you
just
like?
did it right there. Look, there's
Yeah.
two hands.
I have a dog
you-
that knows shake, and then I can also go sit, and then I go bang bang, and he lays down like he just got
Oh, that's
shot.
cool.
Oh, it's
That's
super
awesome.
cool.
How is it cute? Like that. I feel like that's just horrible. Why are
All
we
right.
teaching her
Well,
dog?
we have
Okay.
went very long, so we could probably talk about this forever. We're gonna
I
get to
know.
talk more with you next week, right? In
Yeah,
F's in the
on
chat.
Friday. On Saturday next
Saturday,
week.
yep.
Yes.
Saturday
Yeah.
next week.
Next
F's
week.
in the chat. Stay tuned real quick to find out how to find that if you have never watched it. But it is a really fun show, and I think you will enjoy it. But first off, don't forget to follow us on Twitter at WC Reloaded. You can follow the Mash Those Buttons Network at the Mash Network. If you want to send us an email with your WoW stories or just whatever you want to say, it's wcrpodcast@gmail.com. If you'd like to join our Discord and interact with the host of this show or any show, it's mash.gg/Discord. Make sure to ping us. How can you help the show? Well, I mean, it's been happening a lot. People, you've been writing in saying that you told your guildies about the show. That's really one of the best ways because that's a lot of people that you could turn on at one time, and you have the power to do that. So do that. If you want to do something else, you can leave us a review on iTunes or warcraftradio.com/directory. All right, guys. Ryan, where can we find you?
Hi, you can actually find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube at The Yip Show now. You can find tanking guides and log reviews and
Nice.
hardcore content and all kinds of stuff because I like World of Warcraft. So go
Nice.
there. I make
Nice.
stuff now.
Sweet. All right. And Mel, where can we find you?
You can find me on Warcraft Reloaded every Friday.
Perfect answer.
I mean, that's really it. You can find me on Twitter at MelOverwatch. I am really horrible. And you can find me on Bob's stream. I don't know what it is, but you can find me there. I'm usually doing with him sometimes.
And Winky, where can we find you? And what times normally do F's in the chat run? Because you're changing the date, to be on the show tonight, you changed the day. And next week you're
Mhm.
changing the day have us on. So let
Yeah.
everybody know where they can find you.
Sure, yeah. So you can find me on twitch.tv/Winky or on Twitter, WinkyPotamus on Twitter. So it's Winky like the house elf and Potamus like a hippopotamus put together, one word. F's in Chat runs Fridays at 4 p.m. Same PST. It's the same time this show runs, which is why
Yeah.
we had to move them around a little
It's a
bit.
bummer because like I always want to watch it.
Yeah, we used to do it on Tuesdays, but we lost Grace for Days as a co-host, and he was the typical co-host for the first like 70 episodes or something like that. So just to appeal to people's time frames, Friday seemed to work better in terms of co-hosting.
Actually, because the audience for us on audio might not have any idea what F's in the Chat is. I just thought about that.
Yeah, sure. It's a vodcast is what I call it. It's not a podcast, because it has clips from YouTube and Twitch and all these other things. But essentially, we talk about World of Warcraft, talk about the state of Classic WoW, a little bit of banter in the beginning, and then we watch a lot of hardcore death clips from the Warcraft community. Eventually, we're going to get on to other versions of hardcore with other games as well, and I'll bring in other hosts for that. But for right now, it's 100% just Classic WoW, deaths, highlights, things around the community, what the Warcraft hardcore community is up to that week. And that's basically what we do.
Nice. All right. Is that available on YouTube also? I don't think it is it?
No, it
Is
is. It's on, if it's YouTube, just Winky Potamus on YouTube.
Yeah, shit.
I'm
Well,
a little
then I
behind.
can
I'm 3
watch it on
episodes
that then.
behind.
Oh, okay. I was about to say I've looked and I'm like, oh, I guess he's not doing YouTube anymore.
Typically, I try and keep up with every week, converting it and sending it to YouTube, but I just haven't had time. I work 60 hours a week. I'm trying to keep up with Tyrannosaur leveling and getting my pre-raid bits. It's just been a nightmare.
I'll give you the advice that I give everyone in my guild: quit your job.
I need to be
Stop
honest.
working.
No.
Well, you don't have time for your consumes? Quit your job.
I love my job though.
I need about 900 more average viewers on Twitch, and I'll quit my job.
Mel,
easy, right?
You're missing raid next Tuesday, aren't you, Mel?
Listen, I'm not
quit your job.
Missing it. No.
All right, and you can find me on Twitter at blazin_bob. That's BLAZZIN_BOB. You can find me streaming quite a lot now on twitch.tv/blazingbob. So come say hi.
Look for when he's duo with Mel, and then you can attend.
Yeah, it's been super cool having
chat.
It's been super cool having a lot of listeners from the show stop in. Stay long. I don't have a huge chat. Like it's usually like 5 to 12 people, but it's been great. Like just having them chat with me, and it's been a good time. So join me there. All right, guys, we're gonna get out of here.
Okay.
It's been one epic show. Lots of hardcore, but we needed to get it out.
Yeah, I feel like
I have a feeling
changed.
The future is more hardcore too.
Yeah, our mission statement has changed. I feel like a couple weeks ago, you're like, listen, we're a TBC podcast, we're a classic podcast.
That was Melissa.
Not looking at season of Mastery, and now it's like, we'll talk about half.
Blame me for all of this. Yes, 100%. I also said 100% I wasn't gonna play classic because it ruined my life once, and it wasn't gonna happen again, right? Like I was 100% on board not to play classic WoW. I was 100% on board not to do hardcore. It's fine.
Yep.
I admit that I'm wrong.
Sometimes you're just wrong, and you just got to go with the flow. So we'll see you guys next week.
Bye, guys. Bye.
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 You can stop your local recordings. We're gonna raid somebody real quick before we go off stream. So you're still live. Let's look.
What are like 3.5 hour local recording? Oh my God.
That's a long recording.
We're horrible.
I know. Who should we raid? Who should we raid?
I hate.
What are my
when
options?
we talk this much, and it's like I had more to say too. This is
I know,
Me
dude.
too.
I did
You
too,
guys
but
cut me off a couple times, and I was like, God damn it!
Yeah, I just had to be like, okay, well, this is not going to be I can't do a 6-hour episode. I was almost about to be like, why don't you just come back week after next, and we'll talk about like the MC stuff, because it was just like, wow, we have went so long.
That's F's in Chat every week. We get more and more death clips, and it's hard to fit the majority of them in. Do you want an
Yeah.
MP3 or a WAV file, by the way?
Wave would be best. Hold on, let me find. No hit Jerome. We'll do
Yeah, wave.
no hit Jerome.
Okay, I'm gonna try and render it now, and I'll be back in a second.
All right, tell
Wait, is
tell
your puppy's
Jerome we
name
said
Emma?
hi.
Yeah,
Is your
her name's
puppy's name Emma?
Emma. Yeah.
They were
Why?
like, Emma, this and that. And I was like, wait, who's Emma?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, no,
I'm
my
not
dog's named
Emma.
Emma.
I love
Yeah,
it.
no.
Okay, yeah,
She's